drivers gone astray, caught up in the games they play. High-speed chases gone awry, serious turns into pie in the sky. Just out of jurisdiction, left her in the conviction.
Stuart Walker was like, I'm on, you got it. I was like, okay. And I just rode around that golf cart and watched them take it away. I was like, this is great.
Yeah.
I mean, the street sweepers ain't king, but
No.
I was just watching all the trucks leave and all
they
that.
start
I'm
to
this is
disappear.
great.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't go up there one time this year. I played in the golf scramble with John Whitehead. Or it was a tournament. I was like, I didn't know you even golfed, John. And we had a ball.
That's
I was
cool.
like, I hadn't seen him in years, and it's like we never missed a beat.
So he's still doing his heat and air,
Yeah, making it.
killing. He's smarter than we are.
Yeah, we're kind of dumb.
Of all the people.
Yeah, of all the people.
The funny part last night is so we have that airport truck now,
Yeah, I saw that. That was
and
impressive.
It's great to
It's a
spray the
great-
streets with.
and it's a great blocker too.
Yes.
Yeah, nobody's going to drive through that.
No. Well, that's good. though.
When
I
y'all
mean,
get that?
Year or two ago.
Maybe 2 years.
Yeah.
Does it just stay out there at the airport?
It's out there at the airport. It didn't even get a scratch on it from the tornado. I don't know how.
Yeah, of all the
Rich weight,
the,
probably.
the three trucks that needed to get hit by something.
Yeah.
There was leaves stuck on the side of them. That was it.
Wow. So we used to have a airport hangar near PHI's hangar.
Up there close to the.
Yeah. So you go through the gate and it's right there. And that one got obliterated. By
But the trucks
tornado.
wasn't in it.
No.
They were sitting out in the open.
And,
Yeah.
yeah. Rich apparently went and moved them or something.
They were having that
Oh, no, the airport.
flying or
Yeah,
whatever thing it
show,
was.
yeah.
So he had left the truck sitting out. Yeah, they didn't get a scratch.
Yeah.
wow.
But
Something needing to get totaling out didn't get it.
we have that old 1980s style fire truck that you can always hear it coming down the road with its Detroit motor.
It's a big load of coal coming through town.
I
Nope.
think the beer
Fire truck.
truck is out there too. So
Yeah, it was. The big blue
beer
truck.
truck. Yeah.
big blue
Used to be the
hazmat truck.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
awesome.
they were all three sitting out. Cody Evans and I walked over about 3:30 that morning, and we're like, we need to check these trucks. Yeah, there was leaves stuck on them.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
How much would an airport truck cost? That's got to be high
A
dollar.
regular fire engine now is costing close to $1 million.
Oh
Jeez.
my
Yeah.
gosh!
But you got to wait about 2 years for it because they're in so much demand.
Some of them are
right
up to
now.
4 years.
Yeah.
Hey, listen, speaking of, $1 million trucks, we used the aerial the other day on a reconstruction
Yeah,
to take pictures. I was like, that is a good idea.
Well, I saw-
They brought the aerial truck and just
Newport.
and
I
then took
went to
overheads.
I went to academy
like, that's
class with
awesome.
a Newport guy. He's like, check this out. And it was aerial shots. And I was like, man, that's great. And then he shows me this body. I'm like, where's his head? He said, that's what I was wanting to show you. This turd he was a really bad dope dealer, and he changing his tire on the side of the road, and big rig rolled him up in between the trailer tires.
Oh,
His head was down. It was in his stomach. Yeah, pushed it straight down. I was like, he didn't show me that part. I
That
just
sounds
thought
like a rig up
it was not a.
That's not
I guess that's
something
not a
every day.
decapitation,
Goodness.
but
Not technically. What would you call that?
inversion. I don't know. I don't know.
An inside out.
Inside out. But I was like, you don't unsee that. I was like, where's his head, man? I was like, did y'all find his head? Oh yeah, we found it finally when they went to the corner. It's like,
So they were actively looking for it, like it was a
I
decapitation.
had no idea. Thought it just blown
Wow.
up.
Wow.
Wow.
I-75.
Yeah, it doesn't end, does it?
That's not in.
No.
It's not just here.
No. Wow. Hey guys, I just want to take a moment and thank our sponsor. We've got Ascend Wellness. is a family-owned mental health practice in London, Kentucky. They've got over 65 years of combined experience. They specialize in trauma-focused care, offering EMDR therapy for first responders and others impacted by traumatic events. If you're not familiar with that, a lot of our guys have taken the time to do that type of therapy, and it really allows you to kind of get your mind wrapped around the trauma that you may or may not know that you're holding on to. It's helped a lot of the guys that we know. Travis himself has done it and swears by it. Said that he opened up to things he didn't even know that was bothering him. So definitely something you might want to check out. Services include individual, marriage, and family counseling. Let's be honest, as first responders, our marriages, our families sometimes take a second seat or a back seat to the job. So I can't imagine that any of us would ever need marriage counseling or anything to fix the problems at home. Hopefully you don't, but if you do, they're good at what they do, so they can help you out there. Family counseling, MAT, substance abuse counseling, parenting classes, supervised visitation, and medication management, all delivered in a supportive, client-centered environment. They are located at 148 Commercial Drive in London, Kentucky, and Ascend Wellness is here to help you rise. If you are interested in visiting or contacting them, you can find them at ascendwellness.org or call 606-260-8532. Well, y'all
I'm
ready? Ready?
Yeah.
Everybody ready?
Whatever you are.
When the notes are out like this, it makes me so happy.
Yeah,
We's doing our homework, preparing for it.
That's awesome. They've done much more work. It's bad when our guests do more work.
Noah's more well versed on things than I am. See, I think he's just a black cloud magnet.
I can relate.
There's a reason I won the Black Cloud Award 3 years in a row with the ambulance service.
So we got ambulance, we got fire, we got rescue, we got
A plethora.
law enforcement, kinda.
That's the big word of
I guess that's what we do.
yeah. Well, I mean,
know.
we don't do it very well. But we do it.
Who was I talking to? Oh, I was talking to John the other day. I said, John, I was like, when I got promoted sergeant, 3 people came up and was like, man, John's going to be he's going to just give you a hard time. I was like, hey, John, let's go out and eat. I took him to a Chinese restaurant or something. We went and sat down and ate. I said, listen, I know you didn't put in for this job, so you can't say I got promoted over you didn't put in. I said, but I know you're better than me at policing. I know it. You got more time. You can find dope on anywhere, anytime. I said, you're smarter than everybody at the PD. I know it. I said, just don't give me a hard time. I'll stay out of your way.
Just work with me, man. Work with
me, man. I said, I will. He said, you're the only person that's ever came up and just had this conversation. He said, I got you, buddy. I said,
He probably never let you down, did he?
no, he never let me down.
Simple communication. Just talk to people.
Just talk to people. That's all you got to do.
That's right.
Yeah.
But I learned a lot from that guy. So I give him a hard time. He can't hit a golf ball. He hit it. He finds the fairway like Lodge Holland used to every time. Boom, right in the middle. Then that second shot is made like a putt. I'm like, how do you not?
I'd be having to climb trees and everything.
I had a horrible.
I'd spend more time off the fairway.
Yeah, I did. It was a
I
bad
went to
day
Top
yesterday.
Golf, and golf is not for
You
me.
get banned?
About did.
As long as you don't fall off, you're good.
Hey, there's a reason they have them nets there.
Let's do it.
All right, guys, we're back with another episode. Yeah, Travis is always amazed that I'm recording already.
forget
But,
it.
we've been rambling for a while anyways. But we've got a couple of good guests for you today. Got all kinds of experience. Fire, rescue, EMS. I think this may be our first guest that has any kind of EMS experience, EMS stories. They are also father and son. So, without further ado, our guests, Mark and Noah Rudder. I guess we want to go young or old.
Whichever. Let's let them jump in.
Let the elders go first.
Oh, of course.
Age before beauty, huh?
Well,
Mark.
that's for sure.
Mark is up.
Yeah.
We've known each other basically my whole policing career. I mean, so it's been 20 plus years of working in some capacity together. And we're really glad to have you on and your experience, and just tell us everything, how you got into it, all the shenanigans I know that you've
Well, there's not many shenanigans. You have to be real calm and mundane and not be involved in shenanigans, man. Now, so this year marks 35 years for me in the fire service, legally.
Right.
Dad was a founding member of the Bush Fire Department. They founded in 1975. I was born the day after Christmas in 72, so that gives you an idea of how that progressed for me. So I say legally, I had to wait till I turned 18 to be a bona fide firefighter.
Right.
And so with Dad being there and growing up, it was kind of I guess just a calling, something I always wanted to do. So at age of 18, you kind of joined the fire department. By the time I was 19 and a half, we'll say, I became an EMT and started working at Ambulance Incorporated. So there's been a lot of part-time work there. I worked there for over 10 years, and that's where you really get into the meat of things. A lot has changed now that Noah's in the service and doing basically the same things 25 years later. There's a big difference. When I worked EMS, there was 2 crews during the daytime, and basically at 4 p.m. in the afternoon, everybody, the first out crew stayed on basically, and then you had backup.
Right.
So I lived about 10 minutes from the city limits and would be on backup sometimes. So you'd need to stay in closer to town. And, some of the partners I had, the first ambulance run I ever transported with was Les Leatherman.
Wow.
And, we lost Les in a tornado. But you just look back on all those things and see those people. And that was the first time I ever transported in the back of an ambulance, was a tractor accident. And Les was driving. He said, "You got it, buddy." Les. I said, "Yeah, I sure hope so. I hope for this patient I've got it, right?"
Yeah.
But that's just the way. My mom and dad both worked part-time some for the EMS throughout the years. They went to school to an EMT class 10 years before I did, but I went not to the class with them. So I guess you could say I went through before I could certify. Just going to their class, I was the patient all the time, right? So that's how you get started into these things, and obviously we look at firefighting in general, or emergency services in general, and a lot of times there is that family connection of some sort, and we just all kind of follow down that path. It's kind of the destiny. Unfortunately for Noah, he got stuck with those genes, and now he's doing a great job serving the community, but it also has the drawbacks of the first response life that we all learn to live with.
I know, hopefully. Now, my family didn't come from that. I was kind of the oddball going into policing, which I was the oddball. I went to the Marine Corps, and my grandfather was in the Army and served in World War II, and I just looked up to him. I had some friends that went to Marines and stuff, so that's the route I took. But I just don't see my son going that route too. I think I was just the.
Yeah, I don't think.
It's funny. And maybe it's policing and just saw something, but fire seems like fire and EMS that. Your father, and it's just his tradition, and I see it more.
And I think that's it. It is a tradition in the fire service you hear of more than anything, and I think it's just that adrenaline junkie piece in you. And it's like law enforcement or anything else. We're all type A personalities. Now that's good and bad.
Right.
It takes that kind of that eagerness to go forward, but we also have that edge that we tend to.
My way or the highway.
Well, and even with other first responders at times, right? I mean, we all probably have those situations where we. Our own person they're helping us, we fight with or whatever.
That's the thing about it is like, we're going to have to fight and get this out of the way, I
But
guess.
most of the times, that's the thing. It's the thing that you can do is that, with everybody having that mentality, it's like, okay, let's have our words, and then we'll shake and hug it out, and we'll be done with it, and go on. Yeah,
because
and you're good after that
because they're the ones that have your back on the next call, which could be right in the middle of the argument or whatever.
I may be cussing you right now, but I know that you're gonna have a back.
I've had my share of blowing up on the stage, just looking at somebody. We don't tell all our secrets, but you blow up, you get aggravated, you vent, because we're bad for that too. But I guess that's part of what we need to do as well.
Process.
Yeah.
Getting it all, and the people like, man, why are the police officers, why are firefighters so grumpy after or whatever? Well, we've had this pinned up aggression. We've seen things that we shouldn't have seen.
That's right.
And sometimes letting that out doesn't, because we are stubborn and we don't deal with it the right way sometimes. But I think that's our way of coping. And sometimes, we may get into it with each other. However, I think all of us are adult enough to be like, I'm not going to take too much offense to that. I can get past it.
And I think that's part of also goes with it, it's that sixth sense of humor.
Yes. Oh, gosh.
We truly have a sixth sense of humor that you have to, and that's kind of your way of dealing with things, when a group of people, whether it be police or fire, EMS, or a combination of all, go out to dinner, you're not exactly sure what the dinner topics are going to be around the table. And other people would probably just freak out at some of the things we talk about, but really that's a coping mechanism.
Yeah, funny story about that. Yeah, funny story about that. One time, me and J Mac, and while I was working on that interdiction team, remember I was on that back in the day, we were sitting at Wendy's talking about going through the psychological stuff going into police academy. And we was just talking about these stories. I was like, it's untelling what we were saying. We thought we were quiet, but you know how we are. We just we can't help it.
No.
And these people, we just start hearing them start laughing, just chuckling. And we were like, look over. She's like, you guys, that's the most fun and the most entertaining dinner we've ever like.
Well, good. At least she wasn't offended.
Yeah, right. Well, we were just talking about the questions that we're asking, like going through it in our head. This was like, well, I'm definitely crazy. But they laughed and carried on. I was like, I'm so glad we didn't go down a different rabbit hole.
But you mentioned that though. Definitely don't go down the wrong rabbit hole because they were listening too much. But you mentioned about going out to eat as a group. That's also got its drawbacks.
Very much.
Because many times those people working in those restaurants might have crossed your path somewhere outside of the restaurant.
Funny story about that.
Yes.
We were at Frisch's, and we were sitting there, and one of the guys ordered a burger, and it comes out, and it's got a thumbprint right in the top of it, right in the bun. And what's in the thumbprint? Just a short and curly, right in the middle of it. So somebody just plucked a pube and right down.
We were working EMS one night, and back in the day, there wasn't a lot of places to eat at night. Y'all worked night shift for a long time, but it wasn't the Burger Boy. It was Perkins. And we had gone out there, and that's kind of what we would do. We'd go one place or the other and just sit back and wait, right? This 30 years ago, maybe protect the innocent's over with at this point. But
Perkins has been gone a while.
A long time, yeah. So we're sitting there and enjoying our meal and get done, and we're just sitting around because that's kind of what you did. We sat around and talked, and a guy walks out of the kitchen. He walks over to the person next to me, and he says, "You don't remember me, but I remember you. This is not going to end well." And he rattled out, said, "I told you that day I'd get even." He said, "I hope you enjoyed your hamburger. I'm the cook." And he turned around and walked back to the kitchen. At least y'all got tipped off a little. We didn't. I mean, I didn't want to go puke so bad in my life. I mean, that was just nasty.
Even now, it makes me wonder how many, loogies or whatever, You seen that movie Waiting? Have you ever seen it?
Yes.
Yeah. I'm sure that goes on. It's terrible.
Yes.
But we even now, like where I work now, somebody will come in and be like, well, it's not safe to go eat at Wendy's for a little while because, we just arrested such and such. So.
No,
So I'll be, all right,
you
so we
need to
kinda
share
get-
that with me.
Just eating the cafeteria.
Just ask. Yeah. Just do what we do. Go to Aldi's, come back to the break room.
That's true.
It's a shame though that you have to be alert and aware of that stuff. I mean, EMS or anybody, you're going to cross these paths and you go into places that
Anytime you deal with public, police takes away people's rights and then house them in, in the jail or what, we take away their liberties, whatever. EMS though, you didn't get there fast enough. It's your fault.
Oh, yeah.
We took your high away.
Yeah.
or that. Now
Yeah,
we all know if
that's
they're
a big
high,
problem.
we got to experience that when we started carrying Narcan.
Yeah.
That was a lot.
Yeah.
Are you coming up puking, fighting, or
Or a combination.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, But no, going back to the original, the history and how I got started, and then my wife, she also became an EMT and worked EMS. So
she's too afraid to come on.
she's not a
We could not talk her into
I don't know how that works, but
She could have sat there and kept you in line.
so that's that even keeps it in the line of why Noah. Now our daughter, she flat out said nothing medical, nothing. No part. She's a school teacher. God help her. So,
Yeah, I know.
I would say that's worse.
She's an angel in her own in her own way, right there in my mind, anyway.
Yeah.
Getting to do that. But when Heather was pregnant with Noah, it was about the day before she went into the hospital to be induced. We went on a rescue call. It was a double fatality. 2 teenagers, and Noah went as in the womb. Unfortunately, that was a terrible situation. Noah was just a few days old, and he ended up on a rescue call because some knucklehead was trying to steal Pepsis out of a Pepsi machine and got his arm stuck. So, and Noah was just in the just barely out of the womb at that point. So, he was glutton for punishment. I mean, that's, and then of course with our daughter being the second child, she didn't get exposed to all that because by then Heather stayed home with Noah and her. So,
well, they're predisposed. I mean, it happened to all of us. You see that lifestyle, you see what they do, and you look up to them and they're heroes.
Yeah.
I mean, they're heroes, and hopefully that we're law enforcement and fire. I mean, not so much fire. I mean, your house can burn down and you're still a hero. But
it just depends,
Yeah.
But, that's why police officers try to go in and do the firefighters' jobs before they get there.
That's true.
Because you want to be one.
That's exactly right. I question my decision a
Firefighters
lot.
pass the test.
That's exactly right.
Exactly.
What was it that?
That's fun.
What was it that they said?
Oh yeah, yeah.
The civil.
Yeah, they got
The civil service test. Yeah.
Civil
That's
service.
right.
So they-
Yeah, but you see it. And these kids see heroes, which the media portrays a lot of different things.
Well, now it's a lot different than it was, when I started, like I said, over 30 years ago. Noah has to deal with, and you all still active. I mean, as far as there's nothing you're going to do that's going to make all the public happy.
No, you can't make everybody.
And when I
Somebody's going to
started,
criticize
this
it.
wasn't an issue. I pick up my phone with a camera and a video camera.
Yeah,
It's portrayed as something it isn't a lot of times
Right.
now.
When you've got a 10-second clip that doesn't
That's it.
show context of anything.
That's right.
It's
But they show the cop or the EMS worker smacking the person across the head to
Yeah.
get them off them because they're going to kill them if they don't. You don't get all that other part.
yeah. You miss the whole lead up to that. It's so tough because you all know that you're arriving on a scene where somebody may have drug problems, they may have all kinds of medical problems, they may have mental health issues, and we show up and we don't know these people, and we're making all these decisions or trying to make, come to a good reasoning. That's that coffee pot back there. Just randomly goes on.
like a jet engine going off.
Like, what is going on? But they had, well, we go to these things. We're making these split-second decisions with people's lives, and we don't know their family history of everything going on. And we're trying to solve these mysteries of that they can't get
In
figured out.
seconds, basically. Seconds and minutes that's taken them years to get it.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
And
it's
then-
just a tough.
And you've got to fight being, getting complacent because this may be your 15th call of the same thing that day. And
Or
you
it could
just
be the same person you go to all the time.
Oh, it
But
gets
you got to
old.
try and fight that and keep in mind that this is the worst, maybe the worst day that they've ever had. So it's just Tuesday for us, but it's the worst day they've ever had.
I remember going, I don't know if I was in class or what it was, or somebody reminded me one time, that little parking lot wreck, the one that we've worked thousands of, might be that person's first and the worst thing that's ever happened to them. And they're over there freaking out. And we're
And their
just like,
family as well when they come screeching in.
we're over there like, license
yeah.
registration.
It's like
They're-
the same.
yeah.
You're singing out of the same song out of the songbook every time or whatever,
So that empathy and that's learning to deal and to show like some grace to people is so hard.
It's hard.
But yeah, you have to.
And I'll add that was something that I could learn a lot from my dad, because anybody that knew Dad knew he kind of went above and beyond with people. He very rarely did you ever see him get frustrated with people. I, on the other hand, normally start out frustrated. And,
Played the fifth.
I'm ready to be frustrated.
Well, he had all kinds of different things in his.
Well, that's right. That's right. And being a school teacher and then the school principal, he was my assistant principal in high school. So that was I didn't do a whole lot of bad stuff in high school because, absolutely I was. He couldn't have done anything to me at school that would have rivaled what he would have done at home. So, you look at that and people have spoke a lot about him that was something that he made a positive impact in their life. And I guess every one of us should strive to be more like that every day.
I saw on Facebook, did he have a birthday here or something?
Last Thursday was the 4th anniversary of his death.
Okay, so I saw him out. You just remember those. How good he was. Not, legendary fire.
Right.
Police, all that stuff. Not to mention legendary. With the school system here, and just man, we've lost. When he died, he left a big hole.
He did, and you don't realize what all somebody does until they're gone like that.
Right.
Everybody was like, "Hey, we need to do so and so," and they're like, "Well, he already took care of that." Yeah. Well, all right, we have to figure out how to do it now. So it's
you take those things for granted while
you do.
while they're here.
You do.
Well, while we were at our old church, Providence, when he passed away, everybody realized how much he done for the money and the attendance and the bulletins and the sound system.
Yeah.
And
He did all that at church, and he did equal with the fire department, and it was like, now it takes 2 or 3 people to do each job that he did, and I understand. But no, we talk about how good of a guy he was. Noah's got a video or an audio clip of him almost losing his religion on a fire one night. He drove in, and Terry Wattenbarger's always the one to capture these good moments or bring out the best in us or something.
Of course,
And
Booger would. Yeah.
I think Booger fed Noah with an audio right here that this is Dad pulling up on a fire scene, and just a lot of excitement occurs while he's trying to talk on the radio. So
and he's normally cool, calm, and collected. But backstory: car fire about 10 o'clock at night
in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah,
So probably stolen.
probably. Yeah.
Well, little did we know this stolen vehicle, quotation marks, had about 4 or 5 propane tanks in the bed of the truck. So
no.
you go up this little gravel road to a cemetery, and there's a vehicle fully involved. And here he
Essentially
is.
walking up to an IED.
13 ladder 423
I've never heard him.
Yeah, he almost cussed.
He almost did.
I don't know if I've ever heard him even close to say that word.
Everybody at the fire department or the rescue squad heard that, and they were like, "Did ER just cuss on the radio?" I said, "No,
No, but he lost his train of thought. You know? I mean, so it happens to the best of us. I think.
We got there, and I said, "You good?" And he said, "Buddy, I thought that thing was going to blow up on me." And then I said, "Well, here's your corporate. These propane tanks blowing up."
Yeah.
Oh my gosh!
But
Man,
that's
what a
wild.
legend.
There was, when he was working at the SO, he'd always do school traffic at Bush Elementary, and he was so OCD, and he would say, "Well, I'm so CDO," because he had to put it in alphabetical order. Yeah, that's how he was. And
Is Troy like that too? I've
Not quite that much.
quite like that. But every day you would know when he goes on scene at the school and when he's leaving, because at an exact point is when he would go 97, 98.
Yep, always.
Didn't miss that.
And then
But it was like
Phil Bernard
it was
took
like
over. So
And it would be like on at least if I try to do something like that, it'd be on every 5 minutes. His would be like 7:23 or something, because that's him.
That's what he did. That's what he did.
I'm like, no, I can't do that.
Wow.
yeah,
I miss him. I know how you almost. It must
Oh,
be
absolutely. But, that's one of those things. Anytime you lose somebody that's important to you and has had an influence on your life, you just have to sit back, and there's times you just have to relax, and those answers are in you, and you've got those embedded in you, and that's just how you get through those things, and obviously he was a very religious man, so I know that he's not suffering anymore, and that's the best way to think about that. To know that I could be selfish and wish him back here, but his rewards are a lot more than anything on this cruel world.
I know.
So that's honestly what you have to. That's how you have to get through the loss of somebody like that.
Absolutely.
he's with his daddy and Susan.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, that was his girl, Susie Q, as he
Yeah.
called her.
Susie King. Yeah, man.
I think that's something that we don't talk about enough is in this line of profession. I mean, it just is your faith. I mean, it's how important it is to have some kind of faith. I mean, no, but
we talk a lot. We're sponsored by great company about with mental health, but really, if you could tie the two, more importantly than anything is our faith, and not just with everything that's happened this last couple of weeks with Charlie
absolutely.
and all this stuff,
Yeah.
you start awakening. You see these things, you're like, wow. We need revival really bad.
Absolutely.
And I think
Absolutely.
it's maybe happening, and it's really neat to see.
yeah.
You have to hope so anyway, and you have to stay focused on those positives. And that was one of the things that when Dad first retired, he would transport prisoners, to either to take them to prison or go pick them up somewhere or whatever. And he always listened to gospel music, so they got to listen to gospel
Absolutely.
music. So that was his ministry to them sometimes. But
I bet he prayed for them.
Oh, and
he did.
and
right in the
he
car,
would stop, and there's times I know he stopped and bought them cheeseburgers to feed them before he took them to prison. Here, enjoy your McDonald's cheeseburger before you go into prison or whatever. And those are the things that we can all have a little bit of ER in us and do a lot better. But he had people come back and tell him, "Thank you. You treated me like a human."
Yeah.
Right.
And I think sometimes we all kind of forget that.
Yeah, we fall short a lot. I think we forget about, we want justice a lot of time. We forget about the mercy side of it.
Right.
And
It's easy to get jaded and not realize what type of opportunity you have and how many opportunities that you've had to witness or do something in that aspect.
And it's a really good spot when they're sitting in the back, unless they're fighting and carrying on, but in the back of that car, turning on the Christian music, the K-Loves or whatever, or just saying, "Hey man, I'm praying for you. Is there anything, I've done it."
Yep.
And then there's times I failed at it.
Treat them like a human and not like,
There's so many times though that you have to have that. You've got to be that firm, and then we all get rough because it is that, like Noah said, you go to the same place over and over, or you get the same call over and over, but we don't know what they're going through at the time. And sometimes you can make a difference because they have no hope any other way of getting out of there and changing their ways. So maybe each time we can make a positive light, but we also tend to stop anymore. And I guess that's the bad part about being a first responders. We put up those barriers.
Oh yeah.
And we almost, you hate to say you don't care, but it's almost to the point that we put up those barriers so thick that we don't want them in their best.
Yeah,
You know,
we don't
need to show that personal side of us to them or vice versa.
Yeah.
And you know, when you look at the stuff that we see and the stuff that we deal with, you almost, at the moment, you can't live into that, you know, that craziness that's occurring because it'll make you go nuts.
The walls we build, because we've seen the worst, we've seen humanity at its all, you know, it's brokenness. And the walls we build, a lot of times, not just to protect us, but to keep you out.
Right.
And those walls then transfer into our family.
Yep.
And how many times I got to hear, you know, Dan's testimony yesterday at Faith Summit.
I listened to it after.
And I was just like broken because I was sitting there listening to a man who, you know, and I'm like,
a lot of it hit home.
Yeah, you know,
it hit home. And that's what, I guess, honestly, to me, that's one of the things that is the hardest for me is seeing Noah go right into the same stuff. And, you know, Noah's got several just calls that stand out that, especially being on the rescue squad, because he's there with those things. He works EMS, he's worked fire, he's still a volunteer firefighter, and then he's a volunteer rescueman, and he's going on those calls all the time. And just, I mean, that stuff takes a toll on you, man. Noah has seen stuff that,
No, young man. How old are you now?
26.
Yeah.
you know,
That's when I started, and he's already seen, well, he's obviously, but I mean, the things that you've seen, no young man should see, really, honestly. You've seen more things than people that's been in some bad combat zones have seen. So and I think we're saying all this to make sure that you're
make sure it doesn't lay up on you. And you know, you've always got people to talk to. And I mean, I think back even before I became a full-fledged firefighter and responding. And you know, one call that really sticks out to me was a girl that I went to school with. She was a couple of years older than me, and it was her 16th birthday. And she was out with some friends, and the car rolled over, and she was trapped under it. And all that you could see was her feet. And I recognized her shoes because I rode the bus with her. You know, and you see those things, and it's like, those things never disappear, right? They never disappear.
No.
We all have them. But you have to also think of the blessings that we've made a difference somewhere along the line. Some of the things we never know the outcomes. I mean, Noah is like the king of finding bad stuff and putting them on helicopters, it seems like. But, you know, but with that, we don't know the difference we've made in those calls. You know, he never hears the positive outcomes. Unfortunately, we hear the bad ones because they end up at the funeral home or something.
That's the tough part of our line. You look, you know, you start looking at obituaries and be like, did they make it, or then you just become jaded and you don't even look, you don't even care. You know, it's not that you don't care, you don't want that constant reminder of things.
Yeah. You know, Noah may not have it written down there or not, but Noah was the ambulance that responded when Logan got hit.
Yeah.
You know, those are times that we'll never forget. I'll never forget Noah calling me, telling me, and me looking at Heather and saying, I'll be back. I mean, you just leave and go to help him or help anybody else. You're not prepared for those things.
No.
None of us are.
Because he's about your age, right? I mean, just a little older.
He was a couple years older than me, but we went to school together.
I was so thankful that I was not working that night, that I wasn't there, that I didn't see what everybody else saw.
Well,
I mean,
it's like I tell everybody, I said, besides the tornado, I said that was the worst call I had been on.
Yeah.
that's
Because really, you want to help them, but in my line of work,
you also know that
you know that there's really nothing you can do. And that was the hardest time telling your friends that he's gone.
right.
And I can still see everybody's faces. And some of them did get angry, but, you know,
But that's the response.
that's the
I
response
mean, that's
you
just
knew
that's
was
part of
coming
grieving. Yeah.
because a couple of them knew he was gone and some of them just couldn't accept it. And then later on, a couple of days later, even at his funeral, I had people come up to me saying, dude, I'm so sorry for yelling at you. And I'm like, dude, it's fine.
Yeah,
It's fine.
response,
And I'm sorry that we couldn't do nothing. I wanted to do something.
grief, and shock. When it's a colleague and a friend,
Mm-hmm.
are probably the worst thing that you can go through. Now,
And it's hard on our side as far as law enforcement to show up to something like that and not go straight into anger and then allow that to override.
I was
it.
tempted. I ain't gonna lie.
Well,
I had to. There was a lot of.
Then you've got to sit and wait and say, well, if we do something happens and
That's right.
we ruin the investigation.
Yeah.
We ruin, you know.
And that one was handled very professionally.
It was. I
mean, it could have gone a lot of other ways. I mean, there's no other way of putting it.
No, yeah.
There's no other way of putting it. It could have
But
been.
it was handled well.
It was.
And
I
thank
couldn't-
God.
And justice has been served,
Yes,
you know, because
absolutely.
of that.
Well, it wasn't because I didn't want to.
No, and it's understandable.
No, it
And
was-
the hate and the anger was. I mean, I could feel it, and I've never been that upset. I mean, I still have to go to counseling over it,
and that's
you know.
understandable.
Yeah.
But in it all, I mean, it started for me that year as far as a lot of things coming back. And, and I talked about Dan already, but when Dan Smoot was telling this story, you know, and everybody needs to listen to that. It was on at
Faith Assembly of God in London, Kentucky.
Yeah, and it's on their Facebook thing.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. If you listen to our podcast, you definitely need to listen to his story. But when he was talking about some of the things, and I'm
The
like,
car wreck in Breathitt County.
yes,
Uh,
right off the bat. And he's like, but how many times have you closed your eyes at night and seen that body, that person,
yeah.
and
I mean,
you'll wake up.
I've held a 24-week gestation baby in my hands and done CPR on it that was born at home. And I'm talking from my wrist to my fingertips long. And for people to say that, you know, these babies aren't humans is just ridiculous. I've seen those things. And those are things that are embedded in your mind that you can't forget. You know, when we lost Dad, it was a medical line of duty death. He's classified as a national line of duty death in fire and EMS. And, you know, Travis in the same way. You all had to deal with 2 line of duty deaths within a year in the PD. Totally different circumstances, but each one leaves a void that is just, you can't replace those people.
I tell you this, and I don't know if I've talked about this on this, but I'll tell you, when I was in the therapy session, Logan's devastated me. Don't get me wrong, but I kept going. I couldn't get past my grief with Travis because I hadn't dealt with it right. So I had to get through that hours worth before I could even talk about Logan, because I kept going here. I was not a good friend that I should have been. I was a lot of this guilt that had built up in me.
And realistically, there was absolutely nothing. And I mean, we went through that. You know, we went through that with Dad. The night Mom called me and said, your dad's having breathing trouble. We knew he was COVID positive. I was too at the time. Heather had locked me in the bedroom for a week. And I had actually gone out to mow Dad's yard that day, and I walked in his house, and he looked at me and he said, what are you doing here? I said, I had to get out of the house. I'm feeling better. He said, are you sure? And I said, yeah, I think I could walk to Manchester. They live about halfway between London and Manchester. He said, well, I don't think you need to do that. And I said, no, but I think I'll mow your yard. And he said, well, you won't do it to suit me. You don't do it.
I told you.
And I'm still mowing the yard to this day. And I know every time I mow it, I'm not doing it to suit him. But, you know, so when Mom called me that night and said, hey, your dad's having trouble breathing, I said, I'm on my way. Noah was working. Noah transported him to the hospital. So, you know, I mean, those are just things, like I said, Noah's had some blows. I mean, he really has. He hauled Dad his last trip to the hospital, and he worked the accident involving Logan. I mean, those are just things, realistically, that will lay. And he's 26 years old, and I'm thinking, you know, I'm an old man. But those things lay on you.
You're not that old. Come on, that's not
It's something nobody should go through, because 3 o'clock in the morning, I'm asleep at work and my phone starts ringing and you see Dad pop up and you're like, that's not good. And the first thing he says is, come get your pop right now. I said, what's wrong? And he said, his oxygen levels are critically low and you need to come out here.
Yeah. So, you know, I mean, that's, and then the deal with Travis, I know exactly. I mean, we went through that, and you think, man, what could I have done differently?
Yeah.
You know,
all the missed opportunities of calling and the what, you know, when we was patrolling together and going over to his house, watching football games to, you know, our family started getting, you know, older, and we, you know, life happens.
Absolutely.
Go from being buddies all the time to just work buddies when you're working together, and you're like, man,
you know,
what missed opportunities have I had?
You miss a lot of those things, but we have to dwell on the good times that we had, not the missed opportunities. But we hope to fix those with other people.
Yeah,
and that's where we're at. And you know, Dylan, you mentioned the faith. The faith side of it is something that a lot of hard shell people just don't want to deal with, right? I mean, we put up those barriers, and you don't want to seem weak or whatever. But I'll be honest, I don't know how anybody without faith could have made it through some of these things that we've made it through.
We joke a lot and say that, you know, there's some things that only me and Jesus know, but I mean, that's true.
That's very
absolutely
true.
true.
That's right.
You know,
and you hope that you have that close enough relationship to get that peace and comfort, because otherwise, I'm not strong enough, I'll admit it, to make it through this old cruel world on my own. I mean, I need help.
Yeah. I'm one of the things I've learned, I lost a buddy I was in the Marines with, and then with Travis and with Logan, with different people that we know that have went on, is if somebody crosses your mind, reach out. That's what I've learned. I will call. I don't even text anymore. Dylan knows I'm not much a texter, because I'm usually riding around.
Yeah.
And I will call if I'm like, I need to check on them. And I'm like, so if you get random phone calls, you cross my mind, and I just want to say hello.
But you don't know what put that thought in your mind.
Exactly.
You know,
exactly.
And that's the things. But
because too many missed opportunities to call my buddy Todd. You know, I'm like, it crossed my mind. I didn't call Todd. It's close to the Marine Corps birthday. I need to give him a shout or something, and then not. And then you get a weird phone call from Flint, Michigan. You're like, I better take that. That's because that's where he lived. And, you know, his sister's like, hey, he got killed in a car wreck. And I'm like, I mean, that one, you know, and we only it's weird, knew each other. We lived together for about 2.5 years, but lifelong friend. You know, it's just something that
brotherhood.
Yeah, it is. In states and mileage and distance does not, you know, once that brotherhood's made, it's there.
That's it. I was in Canada last week, and at a firefighter conference. And part of my job, I'm the state training director for the fire service. And this conference was, you know, the 50 states. There's 49 participating states, and then we have membership from, I think, 5 of the 13 provinces in Canada. And so several of those people were there. But, you know, we see each other maybe twice a year, you know, we talk or we do a Zoom meeting once a month or something. And it's a lot of the same stuff, but there was a lot of hugs exchanged before we left, you know. I mean, and that's what you do. It's that family that's not blood that you have. And those are the things that, like you said, when you think about those people, you got to reach out to them.
It's a common bond that brings you together, and it's so important. Was you guys, now I'm going to switch gears just a second.
Let's go.
The fire, you remember me and you had to do this. So I went up with Buddy Blair. They had it at some magnet school in Lexington. They had this fire show, like, where there's training from, I think it was y'all's organization.
The state fire school
where
in
we had
June.
to guard the.
Yeah, we had to guard. They contracted out, and we was up there guarding, and me and Buddy was out there all night long. We just,
That was ours.
Dylan goes, and it wasn't quite the same night for him.
No. So I'm sitting there, and I'm in their little L4 car, and this is an armed, dude, because there's $4 million worth of
And
equipment.
it's not a real good neighborhood.
No, it's a terrible neighborhood. I know that's going on.
But it was me and Buddy, so we had two guns, and we would,
So I'm sitting here by myself. It's like, dark 30, whatever time it was. I've got the windows down, the lights are off. I'm just, watching my YouTube, sitting there, and I see a car comes by. I said, well, that's odd. And then it comes back by and turns down the lane. Well, I'm backed in to a dead end right next to the dumpsters. So it keeps coming, and noses right up to me. I can't see because their lights are on. I can't see how many times it's occupied or anything or who's in it.
And at this point, your policing goes a little further than a standard security guard.
I was like, this is odd. So I just sit there and nobody gets out yet. So I lean out and say, hey. Nobody says anything. So I was like, all right. So I just draw down, step out the car, and so I don't know if they seen that car and thought that, maybe it'd be something easy to break into with no lights on, but it was, I still don't know. I was like,
you was about to get robbed.
I was about to get kidnapped.
Well, I appreciate your due diligence of protecting our assets.
Now you know.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Oh, man.
I knew that was not a real good neighborhood, though. If you went inbound a little bit into Lexington, that's probably when we actually started talking about hiring them. They said, this probably should be an armed detail.
Yeah, it's a good thing.
It's just not the same.
Now, me and Buddy had no problems. We sat there and walked around and watched, Netflix. And
Now, it very well could have been somebody coming in there to just kind of he and sheing over there.
Couldn't have some cordial relations.
I was like, I ain't taking no chances on this one.
but there's some crazy guys.
That's what it got.
Whole crystal meth and he coming out of there.
But yeah, that's just you never know what's next.
Yeah.
How long you been with the fire service?
I worked with the fire commission since 06 full time.
Yeah.
And then I've been the director since it's 10 years, and it'll be 10 years Wednesday that I've been the director. So I joke, our main office is in Paris, so I joke with everybody that I commute from London to Paris. So that's kind of my joke of things. And I'll be talking with Noah, and he'll say he's going to go out of town. I said, well, the traffic will back up here and there because I drive it every day. So those
It's always handy.
Yeah,
but it's bad for me.
We know what time not to leave. If you're trying to get to Danville from London, there's only one real good way, and it's you might get behind a Amish. Yes,
or an Amish.
yeah. I mean, you just don't know, but so you got to know you got to get there before.
There's a 5 or 10 minute window that can make all the difference in the world in those type of commutes. When you drive, but driving, you get a lot of time to reflect and think. And I listen to a lot of podcasts.
Yeah, we're glad to help you on that. I do too. I listen to a lot of podcasts. I listen to a lot of books now. Because I'm like I've listened to every song on the radio, the ones I like.
Right.
Yeah.
I have discovered I really like Jackson Brown now, and
there you go.
I'm like I didn't know.
It's never done. There you go, Noah.
All right,
What you got there, Noah?
Well, I know you got a lot. Three pages here.
Well, So I joined the Bush Fire Department in 2013 as a junior. So was it 15 now?
Yeah.
Instead of 14 when I started.
Yep.
Started in 2013, stayed all the way up till I turned 18. And
I was his SRO
I'd say hi to you every
That's why
morning.
you didn't want me to say old.
So stayed on it. I'm still on at Bush. My first fire department job was part-time at London, not long after I graduated, and joined the rescue squad about the same time.
Noah even worked part-time at Danville for a little while.
So I worked at Danville.
Wow.
I don't know what to do
couple
this with
months.
all of you, these London people in Danville.
Hey, they're good to us.
I just wish we could just get a little
Push it
closer.
a little closer, yeah.
We and then so I went full-time at London in 2019, but due to some politicking stuff, I technically was full-time in 2018 and stayed at London till 2020 full-time. And then I started EMS. Been there since.
Was you on the first, when London started doing the full-time fire? Was you in that class?
No, I was,
Because I can't remember when they
I think I was a junior or sophomore in high school when all them guys got hired for the first.
Joey and all them.
Yeah.
But you were one of the first ones on the third shift,
Yes,
right?
so
the third platoon or whatever.
when I got
they added
hired,
the third one.
they used to have an A and B shift, and then C shift would be, you can come stay the
Volunteers and
night and run fire calls, which is what I would do. And 4 of us got hired, and only 2 of them are still there now.
That happens.
Yeah, but just things have changed in the last couple of years for good and bad. But
That's everywhere.
but
It's different times.
With having experience in both fire and EMS, which profession do you prefer?
Neither.
I'm crazy enough that I like EMS better, but I can go fight fire all the time if I want to, volunteer wise. And some people don't want to do EMS, and I understand why, because I've seen on both perspectives.
To me, that's a lot of responsibility. EMS. I don't know it's something that I would want to do because you're responsible for a life at that point in time. I mean, that's a lot of responsibility.
And
I mean, as law enforcement, I'm just responsible for. I mean, I can be responsible for lives, but it's not directly.
Wait, where are they at?
Yeah, it's a lot of, somebody get us an ambulance.
yeah, and it's like working EMS with you all. You can hear I can listen to PD and SO on my radio and be like, well, that's going to be incarceritis, the shoplifter at Walmart, or
You would be surprised how often that happens, which you all know. I mean, that or the homeless guy that we've talked into having chest pains and
And it seems like if you at Burger King at 3 o'clock in the morning have chest pains for some reason, and it just so happens that law enforcement got called because he was hanging out because he missed his bus or something. And then all of a sudden he has chest pains.
yeah. Allergic to bracelets.
It happens.
yeah. When I was working at Danville, we had a fire at one of the plants on the Parkway or the bypass.
Essity.
Yeah. It was where they printed newspapers or something. And one of the assembly lines, the oil caught on fire. So the whole thing was burning. And when I was still doing my recruit class, they said, they got a big fire down here at one of the plants and we're going. So I was like, oh, okay. Get there. And they're like, go in there and relieve them. All right.
Wow.
I was like,
That's seriously. That is seriously a trial by fire.
I haven't been a firefighter long. So this is like, whoa.
Didn't Borden's just have something?
So I was actually going into work when that happened.
That's always good when you
About 50
10
minutes
forward
before.
break.
That's it.
Yeah.
So I live off 5th Street, and I'm just a rock throw over the hill to the ambulance service. So I take my time going to work. And whoever's listening, you know this.
When you wake up, you're 10H. I mean, you're right
He's
there.
going to do his 24 hours. So
Yeah.
There's in no hurry to start it.
So I was getting ready, and my radio went off, and we had the active 911, and my phone started going nuts. And I was like, oh, it's probably at 46 or something. Well, I see explosion, and I noticed the address, and I was like, Borden's just blew up. And everybody's going by Signal 9. Well, I get to work, and I start listening to the radio, and they're like, yeah, we got about 4 patients over here burned, and we got one that's legs broke. And I'm like, what happened? Well, the crews that went didn't come back. They got exposed to the acid.
Oh no.
Yes. So there was things going on. Apparently, some contractors were working on some barrels, moving them, and it had acid in it. And some of the chemicals that you don't mix with acid were right next to it. So 1 + 1 = explosion. And
I'm glad none of that happened while we were doing their access control.
yeah,
But that just shows you how quickly things can change, you know.
Yeah.
Just what else do you? I mean, you have.
Jeez, Lord.
oh Lord,
Now, so you got the rescue. I mean, you got, I could imagine, at 26 years old, the calls that you've had to go on.
oh man.
So yeah, let's get into some. We've got the background down. Let's get into some of the good stuff here.
So before I became a junior, I was with Dad, and they paged out a 46 on Tomcat Trail. So we went to this wreck, not knowing what was going on. Pulled up, there's a guy dead laying outside this pickup truck. And come to find out, these 2 boys have been drinking, been raining, terrible combination. They ran off the side of the road, and one of them had his window down. He went right out the window, and his head made contact with the tree, killed him.
Jeez, OP.
So that was my first experience being old enough to understand it.
Now, was that a rescue squad call or was
No, it was for Bush.
for Bush?
Yeah.
I remember my very first 46 I ever worked. Because it was weird because I spent this whole time on night shift and, training, and like I had Josh Gaylor and Mike Holiday and Hoghead were my training, pretty much the whole time. And somehow I kept avoiding or not getting 46s. I was like, I don't know how to work one. That's
That
what I was
happens
thinking.
it happens when you don't answer the radio.
Yes, right. I was going to start this sometime. No. I was like, oh, okay. But they said, they were like, my first one was a fatal. It was out there past the middle school. We went out to help the sheriff's office on. We was right there at it. And I think it was Joe Smith, which was another sergeant. But we went out there and I started taking all my, because they were upside down in the creek. And I was like, I'm not going to get my leather off. And I start seeing people just jump in. I was like, man, I'm such a jerk. I'm trying to stay free. I was like, oh my gosh. But that was my first one, was a fatal. And it's you still see them. It's weird.
Yeah. And those are the things that you don't forget.
No, my first extrication was a fatal.
Yeah.
We had a drunk driver on East 80 go into the wrong lane and hit a coal truck head on.
Oh gosh.
Yeah.
I used to get so nervous. East 80s, them straight stretches and stuff just freaked me out down there. And I remember I used to deliver packages for FedEx going out to Somerset, so West 80. And about the time I was delivering about that, one of them crossed trying to pass and hit somebody head on right there and got split a car in half. And I'm like, it just freaked me out to that road's still. And I wasn't even involved, never even seen it, but
I worked a partial decapitation on West 80 early one morning.
Yeah.
I mean, just the things, those are the things you remember.
Yeah.
It's like Noah standing out there in the parking lot going, I've been to that house.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, you're young enough to remember all these calls. we've answered so many I forget. But I mean, you can drive from London up here to East Burnstead, and you can be like, that was a 46 here. I remember this, right here at this intersection at 490
and unfortunately, you don't get rid of. I mean, there's more places that you remember having a response to than not anymore. I mean,
And addresses now that they're just burned into your memory.
I can't remember phone numbers anymore, but I write spat off certain addresses.
Well, that's what I was telling Travis the other day. I said I was a much better officer here because I knew all the stuff, all the little stuff. Up where I'm at now, it's kind of like I'm kind of like a ball lost in high weeds. I just go where they tell me to go. I don't really know.
But don't you think there's a benefit to not responding to your community every day?
That's a good point.
Noah talks about all this stuff that he hauled. He hauled his grandpa, but over there
you can detach.
I can go in detached and completely impartial, and I can handle a call there a lot differently than I might. There's things that aren't going on in the back of my head, like what's
I've talked to a lot.
What are the political dangers
first
of this?
responders over that, and they talk about that there's a lot of difference because you mentioned you get called to a car wreck and it's the area you live in. You're thinking the whole way there is just somebody I know,
right,
family.
Yeah, when you start checking Life 360 every time
or Lexington or wherever, there's a whole lot less likelihood of being somebody you know.
It's a lot easier for me to do my job.
There's some advantages to that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Let's hear some more. You got them.
Oh boy. Let me think here. I got so many calls. I'm trying to keep the bad ones to a minimum. I'm trying to think of some funny ones.
It's easy for us to remember the bad ones.
But it's really hard. Like I was asking people the other day, I was like, do y'all have any funny stories with me?
Well, they sound like you've just had a lot of tragedies.
Man.
Luckily, when I first started into law enforcement, everybody told me, said, keep a journal. Keep a journal. I was like, well, that's silly. Well, now I'm kind of glad that I did write some of this stuff down because it's
good.
I
think everybody starting a new job should.
Yeah, absolutely. Keep a journal of crazy stuff.
Somebody's like, keep a journal though and dot you on there though. But really, you can write down a couple little things to remind you of something that happened. And I probably was the one that told you like, hey, make sure you write some stuff down.
Because it's not all bad.
Because
we've talked about some depressing things, but it's not all bad. You have those instances where you make a difference. But now, I was working EMS and carrying I worked back before we had these electric stretchers, when we had to be real people and lift a stretcher.
I went through it.
Some of them were on both sides. I mean, but I didn't push a button like Noah does. But no, we had brought an elderly lady out of her house, and her pig started chasing us and snapping at us, biting us. Now, I can honestly say I've been on an EMS call that was chased by a pig.
That's awesome.
Some people may reference that to law enforcement, but no, this was a porky pig.
Wilbur pig.
It was a potbelly pig, and he was very, very upset that we were taking Granny or whoever she was to the ambulance, and I mean, man, that pig, he was snapping the whole way at us, and I'm like, what do? You can't kick the person's pig.
No.
I mean, you're like, get that pig away.
Oh, man.
What are you doing?
It was the very first ever attack pig.
Right.
Apparently, they're good guard dogs or whatever. I've been bit by dogs. I got bit by a dog off North Hill Street one time. I realized it was chained, but I underestimated the distance of the chain, the length of the chain to where I was standing, and it snapped and got me twice. But luckily, it grabbed my pants and my wallet. So
there's nothing worse than going up trying to help somebody. And I did a lot of home visits for the school system, and you go up and you be like, man, and principal or whoever be like, well, we got to go get this kid. He's not been to school. And I'm like, that's not my problem. That sounds like a different problem to me.
Yeah.
And sure enough, they always have some kind of vicious dog.
Oh yeah.
And for whatever reason, they must just smell bacon on the cop because they running. The principal gets out and the dog's right there and they come right over to me. I can't even get out. It's like, You're on your own.
Good luck. I'll guard you out here.
You don't know what to expect on that.
It seems like every call that I went on a home visit, like a well check or something like that with students not showing up to school or sick or whether they're trying to get a hold of a parent, there was always some kind of crazy dog up some holler that I'd never even heard of.
Yep.
And I was surprised. You all probably know this more, but there's a lot of homestead stuff in Laurel County. I was very shocked on that. And I just thought maybe I live in the city too much.
Noah's in those homes more now than I.
They got these camps and stuff, these homesteading places now that they just
live off the land.
Yes,
Yeah,
it's crazy.
And then I guess working EMS, you realize how lucky you have it because you have a home that isn't falling in, and some people choose to live that way. And I mean, I always thought garbage went in the garbage can.
Right.
They not just everywhere in the house. And some of these homes that we go into are just
my uncle
Just got a walking path cut through them, and it just
smells. I mean, man,
Uncle Mike says cleaning is free. There is nothing expensive about going up and picking your trash up out of your yard.
it's easy. It's like taking a bath, man. It rains every so often. So stand out in the rain or something. I mean, wash yourself.
Like I've been in houses with dirt floors, and the kids be sitting in the dirt playing with their Matchbox cars, and you're like, and Granny over there sweeping the dirt.
I've served search warrants in houses that had snakes inside from the dirt, just open stuff, and they'd come right in there in the closets. You're digging for stuff, and you're like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, that might have been done.
You remember Jerry's restaurant, right? Loved that place. Right before they
There's
shut
one in
down.
Paris, by the way.
Oh. I knew.
Yeah.
Is it French food there?
It's just like French fries.
So, like right as that place was closing up, they were going to, everybody knew it. Nobody really going there, and they called. I was like, "Hey, we got snakes underneath like in the front lobby. They had like a machine or something." I was like, you have called the wrong person for this.
That.
I was like, I will shoot them. They were little copperheads. I was like, I'm out.
I'm out on that.
But I've seen, I was telling this guy, I was like, I work with, and he's a school teacher and great guy. And he was driving, he said, I was helping this guy out, tired, and he was like, let me go get you some money. He said, no, I'll just help you out. And he said, I got this huge basket for Christmas from that guy. He's some kind of doctor, didn't know how to change a tire. I said, you know how many tires I've changed and
Never got anything.
I was being a little like, but I was like, how many houses we've been in, got calls to, and just to turn the thermostat over from cold to heat, or run possums and raccoons and stuff. And those are I love going to those calls. Yeah. I don't mind that a bit to help out our community. The elderly that don't, they're
It's
just
the people that won't take care of themselves or
that's
don't
the
want
stuff
to
that
help
drives me
anymore
crazy.
that put that bitterness in your mouth. That bitter taste, so to speak.
Yeah.
And I think I got a lot of that back in the early 2000s, right after Noah was born, cleaning up meth labs.
Yeah.
When those started.
Yeah.
Just some of the things. I mean,
well, that changed this whole
it changed the world. Yeah. Noah don't know life without that. Dylan barely does, and here we went through that stuff. I mean, that was unreal. The changes and the evolution of the people.
When we were young men, if, high school age, if somebody smoked a little weed or, did took a pill or something.
When I went to high school, there was a smoking area.
But with as bad as it was,
we thought they was rebels, man.
Oh, yeah.
They smoked little.
They were bad people.
Yeah, he said, oh, man, Dad, you don't hang out with them, But just the way our world it's falling. It's a fallen world, and it's going to get without Jesus, without our faith, it's going to continue to get bad. We just got Noah. We're telling you a lot of stories tonight, as much as anything. Just guard your heart. I became such a cynical person so bitter because, you know, you'd stop somebody and they'd be a deacon, somebody you knew, some church going guy, and you just, man, I was so mad. I was like, there is no, you know, I remember thinking it. You're like, these people are just this whole town, and, you know, and just this bitterness that came over me. I remember being broken, like, you know, if I'm going to do this, I've either got to just learn how to love people and know that everybody's got problems, because a lot of that inward, like, I've obviously got some problems too that people, you know, so just know that, hey, and you've done it in that, I mean, 10 years already, 10, 12, 14 years already, but still, I'm like, 26 is young, and you're going to go the ups and downs and the ebbs and flows with first responding. Ride those waves, but remember that it can take you right down under. So be careful.
And it's like what they always taught us in training. It's not your emergency, it's theirs.
Yeah.
So always understand that. And luckily, me being senior enough now, telling all these new people, treat your patient or whoever you come in contact with like they're your grandma or your grandpa or your family.
Yeah.
That's
a great attitude to have.
That brings up a good point, because I hate dealing with like crisis, like CIT type stuff, like your mental calls and things like that. I absolutely hate them. And I was talking to Mom, you know, venting, being like, man, because Danville's got a lot of that going on. I was like, man, that's the worst, you know, doing MDOs and transports and stuff like that. Well, my grandma suffered from the same thing. She was bipolar, and she had to be transported once. And Mom was like, well, you know, you brought that up. Treat them like they're your grandma. And she's like, why don't you keep that mentality and treat them? I was like, and that's kind of changed. And I was like, okay, well, you know, if they get the help, because after she was transported, it took getting to that rock bottom for her to get the help that she needed and be, you know, mental health warrant and all that, get transported. And then after that, good as gold. But before that, so, I mean, you got to keep that mentality. It's easy to get jaded and not see that side.
I'm sure you've already been. The difference, I think, that I didn't have that. My father's a pastor and love him, but it's I don't want to say we're different sides of the thing, but I was he was dealing with way probably worse things as far as humanity too. And I think I just didn't relate those together and see mine as a mission as well. So I was just like, I'm the PK, I'm a preacher's kid and this, you know, and I was just like, why am I so mad? You know, I try to go to church and fake it and stuff. Then all of a sudden, man, that he preached something and it broke me. And I was like, oh no, just like Dan's thing. I was like, man, I needed to hear that too. And a lot of people needed to hear that. But I was like, how do you get past hurt and anger? And you don't really, you're always going to be set up for some kind of fall or somebody's going to hurt you. It's how we deal with our internal and how we can cope with our own lack, you know, our own shortcomings is what helps us all be better in our jobs. So yeah.
You know, Noah, when I worked EMS, we would generally work a few calls a day or whatever. Now they work a few calls an hour. They, you know, they'll have 12,000, 13,000 runs this year. Jeez. And I remember when we had like 6,000 or 8,000. I mean, you know, I'm dating myself, but still, you've got to have that time to unwind a little. But every call, you know, Alan Brunacini was the chief of Phoenix Fire Department, and he kind of started a lot of the incident command stuff and all that. But he talked about the neighbor, Mrs. Smith. And he put a customer service model into the fire service. And he's been gone a few years, but that is still talked about today, and a lot of his speeches are still out there. That when Mrs. Smith calls for help, it's her worst day of her life.
Right. Yeah.
And you have to remember that when you go. Man, that's hard.
It is.
That's where
so
I heard it.
hard.
I think it was in Boog's class
It's
when I
very-
was in
yeah,
when
very low.
300 or
Yeah.
whatever.
Yes.
Yeah.
I was in ICS.
Yeah.
And he was talking about that.
Yep.
'Cause we
Mrs.
was in there.
Smith. Mrs. Smith still lives on
I think we were in
today.
the same
We
class.
were back up in Broad.
Yeah.
I was in Broad. What's it called? Bald Rock or something. Way down there. That's where I did mine. One of them.
But it's that Mrs. Smith was
But I was in
his
one
person
too,
was
town.
the worst day of their life is when they call, and to us it's not. But it's so hard because we put up those barriers.
Yes.
We become so bitter. But Noah's 26, but he's telling people that are coming into the service now that are his rookie or whatever. Don't forget that. You know,
It's hard.
That is so hard.
It's hard to, the difference, I think, what I was going to say, part of what with Dad is there was just, a different relating with what I did for a living, what he did. Once I meshed them together, it was different. Like, oh, you're the bad side of humanity too, but you already know what your father has done, and your grandfather, and your mother, and your aunt. And I mean, there's all kinds of things that you can rely on, and you're already probably supervising and doing, running. It won't be long. Mentoring, I guess.
Like
And that to me is, if you can fall back and you have somebody you're kind of a legacy type in this field. So if you can learn from ER, if you can learn from, all these things, don't forget them. Even though old school stuff, the way they treated people will always relate to in the future. So I think that's a great way to be and look at things.
it's like every time I have a bad call, you get a phone call or a text, you and Mom,
Yep.
and occasionally I would call Pa ER, and he'd be like, "Yeah, I heard you had a rough day today. Yeah, you okay? Yeah, I'm doing all right."
You got to have a sounding board. I mean, you got to have somebody. I mean, whether it be a fellow first responder, somebody that you can just go and be like, "Let me tell you about this," and then they know, and they're not going to sit there and try and go, "Oh my gosh," or they're going to, just.
A lot of times, like, that ain't nothing.
Yeah.
Let me tell you about this.
Then you start one upping each other.
But I made the comment on May the 17th of this year that, my job's to train first responders and to see that they have appropriate training all over the state. There was no level of training at all that ever prepared me for what that night and day was to bring. You just don't prepare for a tornado to go through one of the most dense subdivisions, and I was over by the airport. Noah was in Sunshine Hills, and as a father, that was a terrible feeling. Mm-hmm. I was there doing things I needed to be doing, but knowing that your son is on another end of this same
Right.
He's doing what he had to do, and you know what you're seeing.
Yeah.
And he's seeing that and worse.
Yep. And then, that morning, as the sun started coming up, I had stayed over off Court Road that whole night in the airport area. And as the sun started coming up, I got in my truck and I thought, I'm going over to that side, to the command post. There was at Wine Pine. And I didn't realize how bad I looked at that point. I mean, I was soaking wet and mud up to my waist. And, just from what we had been going through that night. And it was a pretty good feeling for me to look over and see him over there, and then other people as certain ones had come in. We mentioned Booger when we heard Booger on the radio that night, but when he walked in that school, you just wanted to walk over and give him each a hug. I mean, because we had all made a difference that night, and that's as bad as that was. And as terrible as it was for the people that lost their homes and their families, as a first responder, what we pulled off that night, as I say, we as a team, what everybody, and trust me, we saw things that you just can't imagine. But what we were able to pull off that night and the lives that were probably saved by the time more heavily trained and equipped crews got in there and started taking off, there was no more rescues. Those people had already been found through the night. And, I mean, it was a team effort of police and fire and EMS and citizens, just in general, that what went on that night was amazing. But those are times that, Noah said he'd call me or Heather and text, but that night it was just like, we talked a couple of times through the night when we could get phone service, It was like, hey, you all right? What's going on?
Have you ever seen anything? Let's talk about the tornado because we haven't yet on this, and it's a good. I mean, what you feel like doing, but I'll tell you this:
It's good to talk about stuff like this.
in 20. All right, so on that day, May 16th, right, is the day of the tornado. I'm sitting there. There's a huge front at about 1:00 that day, 12:30. There was a big storm that came through.
There was a storm that had come through
Earlier
first.
that day.
Yeah, I had gotten off work that morning.
It had blown down a tree over by my house on the property owner. Y'all probably was over there, the one that went across Whitley Street, and
Yeah, I remember that.
all right.
So I was asleep, just worked my 24-hour shift the day before, and they paged damage to the White Lily or something like that, where Lowe's used to be.
Yes.
Yeah.
So the whole roof on one section got blown off into the parking lot, the back parking lot. And I went to it, and some of them were talking, hey, this ain't the worst yet. They said,
I couldn't believe it.
tonight it's going to be worse.
It was bad enough earlier.
That I thought it was tornado because that tree that fell over and then it blew that roof off. That I was down at Johnson Elementary and I've never heard anything like that. You're like, oh, that was scary. And then when they were over there on that crew cutting up that tree trying to get that line across, and they were like, "Well, be careful. It's kind of at about 10 or 11 tonight. It's going to get worse." I was like, "Huh."
So typically, if we hear bad weather at the rescue squad, we kind of hang around the building, just, pre-planning and everything. So that night, Dad called me and he was like, hey, turn on Ryan Hall. And for all you people that don't know, Ryan Hall, y'all, is probably one of the best weather people to watch.
And he's a Kentucky guy, too.
Yeah, he was a Pikeville.
Yeah.
And I had watched tornadoes, a couple days before that in Arkansas and Tennessee and all that.
Missouri.
Yep. And the way he was acting, we were kind of like, ooh, this ain't going to be good. And me being me, I've always wanted to work a tornado because, you don't really get to work a mass
Twister's
casualty.
one of your favorite movies.
Yeah, I can quote that movie any day. But we were sitting around the rescue squad, and there was people coming in with their families that night, and you could tell just the way it felt that night. I can't describe it. You just had this uneasy feeling, and you knew something was coming. Well, 11:15, we heard on post a trooper say he is looking at a very large, violent tornado on the ground in Russell County, Pulaski County.
Pulaski.
Yeah. So he's like, "Ooh, that ain't good." And you could hear another trooper. He's like, "London, get us help. There is way too much damage for us to be able to handle it by ourselves." And not many people knew that it was coming towards London.
Who would think it was going to stay on the ground for 50-something miles?
Yeah,
Yeah.
In a straight line.
Where we're at, you got to go uphill to get to London. I mean, we're around 1,500 feet above sea level?
1,200 or so.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah. But just the way that they were talking on post channel, that you could tell it was bad. And me and one of the guys, we went and just stocked up on drinks, because we knew it was going to be a long night. Just if it came, it came. If it didn't, it didn't. And Dad called me and he was like, "Hey, you all need to get ready." I said, "How bad is it?" He says, "It's coming." They say it's not letting up.
Is this one that hit Somerset by the
So,
And it actually gained power by the
did.
time it
so when it went through the forest, it actually was a mile wide.
end?
Yeah.
And we were at the squad, and we had the haunted house, the rent house that we have. We had the basement, and John Allen was like, "Hey, if y'all need to come to my house, come to the house, get in the basement." So John went with Drew Allen, his son. They went and checked everything and made sure the families were all right. And about 11 o'clock, that's when it started getting real bad in London. The lightning, the thunder. It rained pretty bad for a while. And I'd say about 11:20, it just stopped.
Yep.
It
It's
just
like it
got
sucked up.
the calm
And it
before the
got-
storm.
yes.
It got so weird feeling outside because I was out charging my
Well,
phone.
and that's also
Is that-
something else that first responders do. We kind of go outside and look, and
Oh yeah,
we're outside during the storm.
We're those dummies that are staring up at the sky going, I'll be in there in a minute.
yeah.
But I was standing outside the rescue squad with Tyson Baker. And where the rescue squad is, you've got downtown to your left and you've got Carnaby Square to your right. Right around A.R. Dyke Cemetery, I counted 5 lightning bolts come down in the same spot and just boom. And I said, oh, this ain't good.
Yep.
And that's when the tornado siren started going off in London. And we had, I'd say, about 30 people at the squad at this point. So I was like, get in the basement. Well, as I'm walking back into the bay, a minivan pulls up front. No idea who these people were. And they was like, do y'all have anywhere we could take shelter? We're not from here. We just moved into Laurel County.
Smart people.
And I was like,
They came for help.
I'm not going to tell these people no.
No, yeah.
I said, we got a basement over here. I said, just go park your car right over next to the fire department, because the rescue squad and the fire department, for all the people that don't know, they're literally in the same parking lot.
Yeah.
And they come walking in, and I said, I'm going to take you all over here. And they's like, whoa. We got our family coming. I said, this ain't your family? And he's like, yeah, this is it, but there's more of us. And I look towards the fire department. There's about 12 people walking over here, holding Meemaw up, who could barely walk. And I was like, oh, you've got to be kidding me. So,
Still,
if
brilliant people.
yes,
Hey, go for
if you've
help.
been through our haunted house, you go through the basement, and you know how small it is.
Mm-hmm.
There were 50 people in that basement
Wow.
at one point.
Wow.
I'm glad it didn't come that way.
Yeah,
'cause
no doubt.
Well, before we went outside and started looking around, that's when it made that shift, and it was coming straight for downtown.
yeah, I freaked out. I was in the basement at this time, and my daughter looks over and she's like, "Are we gonna be okay?" I'm like, I don't know.
I said, we're here together. Yeah.
She still gives me a hard time. It's like,
Heather and I
you're
went
real
out basement
calming.
when it started going. I had to look at her and say, I have to leave.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a hard situation to be in.
And John had told all of us, he said, don't just get in the truck and go somewhere when the tones drop. He says, we don't know where this thing's going to be at, and I don't want you all driving straight into this and y'all get hit by this. Now, when the tornado came through, it was rain wrapped, so you couldn't see nothing. Well, a firefighter on Laurel County screamed on the radio that Sunshine Hills had been hit, and do an all page for Sunshine Hills, which means they page every emergency responder, everything to this one incident. So I'm in the first out truck, and me being the senior guy at the squad at the time, I had all these new people. So you're trying to figure out who can you trust to be the first response.
Because direct path on that, when they probably dropped tones on that, it probably was still towards the airport at this time.
It was just going out of Sunshine Hills.
Wow.
Yeah.
I think by the time we got to Philpott Road on 363, because originally we were going to Hart Church Road. That was the first 911 call. And
then they had the wreck on the interstate.
yes, we had a car get blown off the interstate with.
See, I've not heard that. I didn't know that.
So they paged.
Yeah.
So they paged Hart Church Road for people trapped in a collapsed house. Then they paged a 46 with entrapment on the interstate. Car got hit by a tornado.
Was that in the same area
So-
as the?
Where it went across. So a couple of the guys, they were in the second out crash truck, which goes to all the crashes and everything. They went down Philpott Road. I kept going down 363 towards Hart Church Road because I didn't know where this thing was. I knew it was coming down 192.
Yeah. What you
And-
thought.
Yeah. So I'm literally turning right there, heading towards Saddle Road, right straight stretch. There's a piece of wood and the power lines down in the road. And the guy in the back seat, all I heard was, "Oh my God." And I look over to my right and there's nothing.
Yeah.
The neighborhood was destroyed. And I put the truck in park and I said, "Boys, get out and go."
It's still
said, "Be
wild to look
careful."
at driving down the interstate.
Yeah.
And they've rebuilt quite a bit, but it's still.
It's been an amazing recovery that
Yes.
the
I'll tell
community's
you
gone
this.
through.
I'm down in my basement. I was watching Ryan, and I'm looking, my wife's like, "Can you turn it down?" Because I had my radio on.
Yeah.
I've got this. I'm like, and she's like looking at, somehow my message came across from my first cousin. It's like on Facebook. It's like, "Is anybody, Mom?" I was talking to Mom and she's, all I can hear screaming. And they, sadly they give out this second tornado coming. So my wife's like, "You're not leaving yet." And I know y'all probably like
I started
freeze
getting phone
everybody.
calls from Lexington and Frankfurt that was like, "Hey, y'all got another one coming the same path." And
Another cell.
that's when we had them start checking, and I yelled at dispatch and I said, "Hey, we're getting reports of the second one on us. Can you find out?" And that's when they dropped the tones again. And I was talking to people on the scene, going, "I've got people everywhere. What?
Yeah, well, you did.
Find out what the weather's going to do," because they didn't know at that point if it was going to come down the same path.
Because that's happened up in Ohio or somewhere like one, and then a couple hours later another.
In our response district in Bush, I told our guys, "Go to the station if you want to, but don't leave the district because there is another one coming." And we were,
Yeah.
it basically went airborne through our fire district. It hit a couple of houses.
Yeah.
But 1 hour after the initial call is when we were notified to go to Crooked Creek. I'll let you figure that one out yourself.
That's
Wow.
An hour later.
Wow. Because I was just out there.
You figure that one out.
So where I was, you could not see everything. I didn't know what was going on the other side of the town, and that I was expecting like 192 to be destroyed. Everybody be going out there. It lifted somewhere close to where we were. Well, somebody come running up to us and they said, "Have you all heard about the airport in 1006?" And I was like, "No." They said, "It's gone."
You don't think about what a straight line, when you're over, say, at Sunshine Hills area, Wine Road, Hart, that due west, basically, is the park, the airport, the park.
Yep.
Right. Yeah.
And now that the trees are gone, you can kind of
tell
sit in
that,
the park
like-
and see all that now.
Because thinking about it in your head, I've got to go way around, all this back to this road to get to this
Noah
road.
mentioned Tyson being with him.
Yeah.
Tell her.
So Tyson and me went and checked the house, and a tree had fell on it. And this guy's like, "Hey, my wife's in here." And I said, "Is she hurt?" And he said, "No." I said, "Well, we'll get to her when we can. She's not hurt. That's a good thing, but she can't get out." Somebody yelled at me and they was like, "Hey, come down here. I need you." And I had the BLS bag, which has all our medical stuff in it, and I ran down. I had a guy that he was hurt really bad, and about this time's when they were saying second tornado's coming.
Yeah.
And I said, "I'm not leaving this guy." And his wife is sitting in the rubble going, "I can't get down." I said, "Are you hurt?" She's like, "No, I just can't get down." Well, Tyson comes up to me, and he just had this look on his face. I said, what's wrong? He said, I think my house is gone. And I said, where's your wife and kids? He said, luckily before all this, I told them to go to my mom and dad's, and they lived on East 80. And he called his wife, and somebody had called him and said, yeah, your house is gone. They went and checked it. He lived right in that curve right there by the airport. And it,
So the straight line?
Yes.
Yeah, it went right
You
through.
don't even think about that. Probably he probably was out there in Sunshine Hills thinking that's it. But he's working and working and working in his house. He's a victim.
He's a victim. Yeah.
we recovered a couple bodies and helped a couple people out. And Tyson looked at me. He says, I got to go. I said, I'll walk with you, because I was really worried about him. He started getting pale, and you just lost your house, and
Yeah, you lost. I mean,
you lost
The shock,
everything.
yeah.
Everything.
And I said, Tyson, there's a good thing about this. I said, your wife and kids are safe.
Yeah.
I said, that's on you. You did a good job. And he's like, you know what? You're right. And I said, I still got them.
Tyson said after the fact, he said, always trust your gut. He had a gut feeling that he needed to call his wife and tell her to go to his mom and dad's. And, I mean, how many times in our life have we
that
trusted our
feeling's
gut, or
usually something,
sometimes we question it or whatever, but it always works out.
The one I'm going to question myself on my gut is like the East Bernstein tornado in
2012.
12. I decided to
Not far from where we are, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
And my wife had went to Atlanta with my daughter to the American Girl. She's little, and me and my son, he was 2 or 3. I mean, little guy, and I'm like, let's go down to mom and dad's house. And they live right down here on Filter Plant Road.
There
We
you
could
are,
hear
right?
that thing.
Yeah.
I was like, maybe my gut wasn't right. Let's just take it down from that one. But I just wanted to be with them. And you know how it is. You're like, what am I going to do with this little guy if I had to run out and go help? If it comes, because they were giving some crazy things I never heard of, like torcons and stuff like that.
Oh, yeah.
Like these
Back then it was new. Wasn't it?
Yeah, I was like, what is this? It's like polar vortexes. You're
Yeah.
like, what is all this made up stuff?
They were like, yeah, we're at a Torcon 3. And I'm like, that's still not good, but there's 5 levels.
Yeah.
And the night it hit in May, it was a Torcon 3.
Yeah.
But he would try calling me, and I'd be like, hey, you okay? And it would be, I can't hear you. I got to go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've never seen a community come together like that. And then I was impressed with some out of them Cajun Navy guys and some of these
People
places.
came in from all over. Yeah.
Yeah, it was beautiful to see the help and
Now there's certain groups. The Mennonites are one example. They're framing up houses for people right now.
That's
that's the thing about this. After you're like, well, how can we help now? Now that all the the big name, the Red Cross, and all these people are gone, they're still dealing with things. The school, kids are still homeless. Some of them, and
I mean, there's still people that
displaced.
at the bar.
They canceled. They ended school that night.
Yeah.
And it was not supposed to end till like the next week.
Yeah, we had about a week and something left to
Yeah.
graduate. It was just a strange, hard time. It kind of felt like the way they did it felt like COVID again.
Yeah, right.
Like it just
'Cause
abruptly
everything just shut.
ended.
Yeah. And there's no closure. I mean, a lot of times you think if they would allow people to go back, because restoring to somewhat normal is how we recover from things, and that's kind of like us,
It was hard.
You always
because
want to get back in the saddle, so to speak.
I would say just in Sunshine Hills and Westland and across over there on Court Road and stuff, I'm going to say probably 10 to 15 teachers just at South Middle, and Wine Pine that were.
Well, I think when Wine Pine got opened, it was by a teacher that walked over there and opened it to try to.
I know.
We were already making the phone
Exhibit
calls.
Nature, wasn't it?
I'm not sure. We were making the phone calls to get it open.
He called me and he says, "Are you around John Allen?" And I said, "Well, I'm like half a mile from him because the neighborhood I was in, it was a half a mile from the beginning at 363 to the end." And we carried one guy half a mile.
Yeah.
But he said, try to get John to get the command post set up at Wine Pine, get a hold of everybody.
We were working to try to at least have somewhere to get people.
And
And then it jammed up 360 because I came out there, me and Danny Robs. You couldn't get turned around. You couldn't get ambulances out. I was like, let's go back over here and help out on Wine Road because everybody's congregated right here and they needed to be, but it was just like, there's more. And I had no idea, you know, like Cold Hill.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Just in this, now you think about this, Cold Hill students and people in that school
It
district.
didn't let Cold Hill school by much when you think about it.
But people got damaged there.
Yeah.
Wine Pine, Drake. You didn't know they were so close.
Oh, Sublimity.
South Laurel High School and Middle School right there, real close. And they're then right over to Bush.
Yeah.
I mean, you're like, these schools take 15, 20 minutes to get to.
Oh, yeah.
And she's like,
And it was there in a matter of minutes.
Yes.
And I mean, I guess it just proves the power of Mother Nature that we don't know.
So after all this was said and done, we had some people stay at the rescue squad that were helping some of the victims' families and everything out, trying to recover stuff and help them build back up. And one of the guys, he said, you know, just going out and looking at the damage, he said, if it had not went through the forest like it did, we would probably been hit by an F5, and that is the worst tornado that you can possibly get hit by.
Did it just slow it down?
So it kind of slowed it down a little bit, and it lifted there at 192 near
because there's not
West
nearly
Line Creek and all that.
Yeah.
And it set back down. He said, you all got very lucky not to get hit by an F5. Now, when they first said it was an F3, we were all like, oh, God, no, this is an F4.
I'd hate to see what an F5.
Yeah, no
Because
doubt.
the F4 did what?
Like Moore, Oklahoma, and Joplin. Moore, Oklahoma in 2013 is the last F5 tornado in the United States.
Wow.
Some good people, you know, Les and his heartbroken. And how many people in London?
Ended up being 18.
18 here, and
There was 17 the night of, and then one passed away later on, and then one in Pulaski
and Russell County. So
20 total.
20 people, and it could have been
Oh,
hundreds.
absolutely. We're blessed that it wasn't. I mean,
And that's a credit to, well, quick response, I think, and just grace. I don't know.
absolutely.
But, you know, it's hard to say, like, why them, not the, you know.
Absolutely.
My aunt was in that house on right there when it come across. If you look at her house, she must have been right in the middle because it went over the hill into Sunshine Hills, and her car, how her car was still in the garage, that was it. There was another house from across the road over there sitting sideways in it. She's in a pile of rubble. She was fine. They found her and under a pile of rubble, probably 30 yards from the house. Subflooring sucked out of there.
Yeah.
And her red
So, I mean,
Volvo
realistically,
sitting in the garage
basement's
still
not
with
going to
nothing.
help you that much.
No, and I was
You know, that
surprised. That's
pressure.
what scares you about it. Is
Yeah.
like, people died in basements in this.
So I'll tell you a funny story about that night, and this is probably the only good thing that I could think of from that night. We were checking houses, and you know, you'd walk down and there'd be a house barely touched, and then right across the street there'd be one obliterated.
Yeah.
We went and checked the basement of a house, and we forced the garage door up. There were 21 people standing in this basement, and they looked at us and they said, "Oh, thank goodness, we were trapped in here." And the top of their house was destroyed. But
Yeah.
they said, "Is it bad?" And I said, "Y'all don't know?" And they was like, "No, we heard it. Come over." And I said, "Well, I'm just going to tell you, be prepared. It's terrible." And I said, when you get out of here, walk straight down the road towards 363 where all the emergency vehicles are. But 21 people in this basement, and they were not hurt. They were like, "Yeah, we've been praying."
Yeah,
Well, there you go.
glad they were.
I was like,
It worked.
I was just, I've never seen anything like that. I watch YouTube videos of Moore and Joplin. There was a good Netflix series,
Yes.
documentary that came out on Joplin. You're just like, but to see the devastation actually that night when it's still raining and getting flat tires in your in your car, just trying to get, you're like, I've never seen pictures that we recovered from. Probably the people like, hey, is this from Crooked Creek and stuff that were at, way over here in Pulaski or something crazy. I mean, just weren't they finding people's stuff in Hazard?
So
There was some found in Pike County.
Pike County.
Tyson told us one of his wedding pictures was found in Perry County.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's amazing.
So that's sale for those that don't know, and for in the future people that started off, that supercell started off in Missouri. It wasn't a tornado all the way, but when it hit, that thing stayed together for I forget how many
100
miles.
something miles.
No, I mean it was like
And it's over
500
a mile wide. Yeah.
mile wide. And
That whole cell, though, was... I mean,
from way in Missouri.
if we drive to the Mississippi River, it's going to take us 5.5 hours.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it came from there. Oh, well, from further than that.
I think it came over like from the Ozarks almost.
So, I mean, that's crazy.
I didn't know that, you see these, they'll pop up supercells and they dissipate. For it to stay that tight and then drop a tornado in southeast Kentucky where we get them.
Right.
Pulaski County and Laurel County get plenty of tornadoes. We've had some.
Not that
But not
Not
that
at that-
extent. Usually the ones that we get, they pop down, they do a little damage, and go right back
Yeah.
up. I mean, that's
Because I was in the one at Carnaby Square. I was living on Morgan Street. I just can't get away from it.
Yeah,
and
it's
then
coming towards you.
that was
Chase that thing.
Yeah, we
moral
watched
of the
that.
story is don't live by Travis.
Me 2 years old. He's taking me tornado chasing through the downtown Carnaby Square
What we
tornado.
do, right?
Hey, listen, that one right there was sunshiny. It was. I heard it tinging off our door. I was like, "What in the world?" I was like, "Get in the bathroom," and I'm sitting in the bathroom, and Lisa had made some kind of blueberry pie, and I'm sitting on the toilet eating that pie.
You wouldn't let us find
No, I wasn't rolling, just in case the electric went out. And it did. She's holding the dog, and I'm sitting there eating a pie on the toilet like an idiot. And we pop our heads out when it's over. And Lodge Holland was building his house, and the police chief, and he pops his head out, looks around. He's like, in typical Lodge, he points around to everybody. Is everybody good?
Everybody good, yeah.
And the next thing you know, he'd owned that store, I think he bought the Quick Stop up
Quick
there
stop or whatever, yeah.
from Danny Fisher and them, and they pop around and say, "It's gone." It's just like, what we talking about? Somebody came down from the store, I guess where all the, Carnaby Square and then Bossinger and,
It turned over cars and sucked up blacktop.
yeah, that was, I'm like, how's, that one was, it was sunshine outside when that thing, it was weird.
The first tornado I experienced that I can actually say I remember, Olivia's third birthday in 2006, there was a storm that came through and tornado dropped down in bush. It took the roof off of Lola's.
Yeah. I remember that.
I remember watching Dad get sucked out the front door.
What?
Opened the front door and it pulled me out.
And
He
there
slammed
he was.
the door
The
against
next thing you know, whoop, there he goes. And Mom's going, "Oh my God!"
What am I doing? I'm going to look.
He's been abducted.
Where'd he go? He's in Oz. He's good.
That's it.
That, whew.
But that day, May 16, 2025, I've never seen anything like that in my life. The response was awesome, but the devastation, I would never get that out of my mind. Going there and you're like, I couldn't find, what's weird is how many times you've driven these roads and you could not recognize where
Right.
you were.
That's exactly. And there's no road signs.
And-
And,
yeah.
I mean, even if because they were giving us like an address and a street, and I'm like, there's no numbers.
Oh, there's no
mailboxes.
There's no landmarks either.
There's no
So-
porches. I mean,
And
you couldn't tell anything, and you don't realize how dark is. Do you?
Oh, my goodness.
I tell you, you're standing out in the middle of something like that with no. I mean, you have a flashlight or whatever, but
And it's a weird feeling, and I know y'all were out there doing what you had to do, but when you're going around with I was school police. We were just out there trying to do our best. Me and Danny Robinson, I think Jesse Williams were out, and at this time, and it's so dark, and your flashlights are, you're like, I'm not made for this anymore.
I know.
And you're like, all right, my aunt's gone. She's at the hospital. I can't get out of here. And the trooper, I think, Scotty Penn or somebody was like, hey, can you help us? We're going to go over here and look for bodies. I'm like, oh yeah. My mission focused on finding my aunt turns into recovery and look for still people trapped, because we was out there probably an hour after it was done. And I'm like, oh,
and I'll tell you,
we don't know him.
If there's anything that would be a trigger for me after that, is smoke detectors.
Oh yeah, you could hear them everywhere.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, it just wouldn't shut up. It was every house that had one, they were going off, and it was from the dust, or whatever, And I said, if I hear smoke detectors, I can honestly see that being a trigger. If there is
smoke detectors and gas lines.
Gas smoke.
Oh my gosh.
Not just the smell, the lines
whistling carrying on. Yeah,
I was like,
everywhere.
that one freaked me out because it was sucking.
And as a firefighter, we're trying to go shut those off. Well, there wasn't anything
no
to shut off. I mean, they're broke off, and that was crazy.
Every time you'd be like, is this safe to start my car right now? You know what I'm saying? And I was
talking on your radio.
Yeah.
That can trigger it, and people don't know that.
I was, luckily it's probably dissipated when it got out, but you were like, I remember thinking, I was like,
the smell of natural gas and the sound of smoke detectors.
Yeah, man.
Just
and it was, and you're out there over debris and
nails everywhere.
How many nail injuries did y'all? I mean,
honestly, I didn't hear of that many. I stepped on 3, but they didn't go into my foot. Yeah, I heard I put my shoe off 3 times.
Flat tires.
That's right.
The rescue squad has their 6x6.
Mm-hmm.
We blew every tire on that thing, and still we had patients in the back, and we were driving on the flat tires. But
we do what we got to do.
Yeah.
But
I found my aunt. I went to the hospital. Luckily, she didn't go to Wine. They were going to take her to Wine Pine, and you couldn't get up there, so they just took her to the hospital and got checked out. And I remember going in there, and she was like, glad to see me, but still in total shock. Oh, I don't want, you don't see me like this. I'm like,
oh yeah.
I'm just glad you're
intact.
It's in your house that isn't there.
You don't need to go there for a little while with us, and going through those things and seeing old pictures of, you're like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
It makes you realize that we it's just stuff that we hoard and keep and stuff. The memories of the pictures and stuff are so important, but that other stuff is just stuff.
I took a picture and actually posted on Facebook that morning of the 17th, and it was of Raggedy Andy or whatever laying out in the field. And it was just like, this brings it together out here. There was no house anywhere around but there's this doll just laying there that was some kid's toy or whatever, and that's just how in a matter of seconds your life can be just torn apart. And things that we think sometimes are not that important to us, or you don't know what that is to somebody else or whatever, and how that when it's all gone. I mean, I couldn't imagine starting over and having to build a house.
No, absolutely not.
And I sure don't think I could build back where a tornado. I mean, I don't know that I could live there.
No, after that, my wife's aunt was in Sunshine Hills, and they were super lucky. I mean, they said when it started coming over, they jumped in the bathtub and threw a cushion over top of them. Said for about 2 minutes they heard, it's just a god awful sound ever. And then they got out, and then the only thing was standing was the wall that the bathtub was on, and then everything else was.
And you've always heard
gone,
that.
but-
And I thought, well, yeah, right, go to the bathtub. Hey, the bathtub saved a lot of people's lives.
Yeah, I
So
think
Yeah.
they absolutely did. And that is all that. Just the whole front of the house gone, the sides gone, and there's just those center interior rooms. I mean, we always hear, go to an interior room, you mentioned going to the bathroom in 20 or
But they questioned
20 years ago.
They decided to rebuild there, but they really questioned it there for a little.
My aunt
But again,
sold.
home's home, right?
Yeah, exactly.
My aunt sold her place, and that's there's going to be some that build, some that sell, and
And it's not going to look the same, I mean, And then for the kids, which there was not a lot of kids in that area.
Thank goodness.
Not like some areas.
Thank
I mean,
goodness.
it was older.
Primarily an elderly
was.
population.
If this would have happened 15 years ago, their kids,
They would have been kids, yeah.
they would have, and they've moved off.
And you think though that if there are kids there and they're used to their community, that's the bad thing though.
Mm-hmm.
If they build back, then other people's kids aren't there, and I mean it's just it's strange how it can change so fast.
Sunshine Hills was, I include Westland with it, the Westland state. I mean, it's probably a different subdivision.
It is,
But that thing,
but it's all-
that was
that
all
whole
gone.
area is Sunshine Hills to me.
Yeah. But it was gone. And then, I went to a wedding over there at that venue next to the airport over there. That
barely escaped.
And I was talking to Ben. He was, Ben Webb he's a city police. I think he was working 10/8 that night and that afternoon. And he said, it's just hard for me to sit here at this wedding and not know what I saw over here and here and here.
There was some really bad sights not far from that
Yes.
place.
And that's what he was saying.
Yes.
And,
Yeah.
it was just tough. And
It is tough. And it's hard. I mean, to even drive back through there now.
Oh, yeah.
You're excited to see people rebuilding their lives. But man alive,
It's tough.
those memories, I can still see things that I saw that night or whatever.
Right.
I mean,
And just coming from where I was, I saw more dead people on one call than I ever have.
Yeah.
Combined, probably. And there was people hurt everywhere, but the one thing that really still gets to me is just watching the people walk towards you.
Yeah.
It looked like the Walking Dead coming towards you.
Pure shock.
And the one kid that I saw that night, he was just like, our house is gone. I was like, yeah, I mean, but you still got your family.
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, I still got them, and we're going to be okay.
Yeah.
I was like, that's the mentality to have, young man.
It's tough. It's going to be years and years of trauma and shot. I couldn't imagine what next spring. Well, the tornadoes that hit it was December 10th.
yeah.
In 21.
In
21 in Mayfield.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
That went through downtown.
yeah,
That was unbelievable as well.
But that's my dad's birthday.
Oh, yeah.
We're talking about the first snow usually
Right,
of
right.
the year is around his birthday. And for a tornado, so you just never know. But I couldn't imagine the spring and of big storms coming.
Anytime
and
a cloud rolls in, you're going to get worried.
I still look at them now, and you like, and
I know.
you see that stuff too, and you hear the people. They'll take pictures of these clouds, and you're like, yeah, it's going to be tough to get through
That's
for a
right.
while, and I don't blame nobody because, I know I'll look at it different.
Oh, absolutely.
It's scary.
I just can't say good things all the time, but 76 people got transported to the hospital that night. 76. That's how many people we were found and recovered. And the teams that came from other parts of the state, they had to go through the area because they were leaving all of the Laurel County crews. They wanted some people from home to go with them and try to look at the area. And the group I was with, they looked at me and they said, there's nothing for us to do. You all done it. By the morning, everybody had been found. There was
That's awesome.
nobody.
And that's best case scenario.
Yes.
It is. It is.
That's dedication. Y'all have some very professional folks, and what they, not every, you got new guys. What they lack in experience in that, they have the gumption and the grit to go after it, and that's good.
And people being in it for the right reasons and not.
And there was like I said, there was a lot of new people on the rescue squad that were there that night, and it's hard to tell them, hey, we can't help this person, and they're like, well, they're right here. I said, yeah, but they're dead.
Yeah.
We can't do nothing. There's people over here that need our help.
Triaging is
That's the key in a mass casualty.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and
I hope you
had
never
to
have that
make
again.
a bad call
Oh,
that
yeah.
night. That'll haunt me
hard.
forever because they teach you triage in the EMT class, and they're like black tag,
Yeah.
and people could still be alive, but they're not going to be alive, and you can't waste your time trying to help this person that's way too.
You've got
And
to
that's
help.
hard
You've
to
got to
hear.
help somebody whose likelihood of survival is greater than. So
It's hard to hear and it's hard to do.
It's
You
kind of
want to, when you're in this line of business, you want to help everybody you can.
Oh yeah,
And
it's kind of like with active shooter training with law enforcement. You're trained. If you've got bodies on the floor, you got people yelling that are shot, screaming out that need help. It's hard to go past that without. But that's not your job at the time. You've got to step,
stop
and
the
you've
threat.
got to stop.
you got to stop the threat in order to help these people.
So it's the
And-
same with that. With triage, you've got to stop. You've got to help who you can and who you know that you can actually save.
And it's like that night, state police, my goodness, they helped us a lot.
Yep.
It was great. And they were trying to help somebody, and I said, hey,
let's go.
we got to keep going.
It's tough. It's tough stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Well, you've got a notebook full of stuff that we've been, we've kind of derailed some. So let's lighten up a little bit.
So
We'll
Get
get
fun
into
and stuff now.
We'll get into some funny stuff. Hey, this stuff's great, though. I mean, it's
I've
stuff that
been
needs to
wanting
be talked about.
about the tornado because
Yeah.
it's been 4 months, 5 months, 4 months, and sometimes the best therapy is to get it, just talk about it
absolutely.
because it's going to affect us for years and years. And
I know Noah and I both need to talk about it. You think after what you saw and what
that-
you lived
Yeah.
with and did.
We talk about this about every episode, about each guest. That's kind of the reason we started this podcast. I mean, it's partially for entertainment, and then it's partially, it helps us to bounce these things off, these stories, these horrible calls that we've had off of each other. You get it off, you get it out into the open, out into
sometimes talking like this will allow you to let your guard down a little bit, even though this mic's in front. But me asking a question about it and talking about it, you two might talk about it, but maybe not.
Right.
But people need to hear, and you need to get. It's a way to decompress too. So
Oh, yeah.
it's good for your soul, really.
So I know you all went to the floods in 2022.
absolutely.
I went to that.
One of the greatest experiences
Yes.
of my life.
So,
In a sad situation,
It was terrible, but it was an awesome and humbling experience.
Yes.
I mean, it was
so the day it hit, I was supposed to be at work at 8:00. Now, being a swift water tech, those are the big things.
yeah.
We get called to Clay County for mutual aid in Oneida. They said Oneida's underwater. We need help. And there's somebody trapped. Okay. So we meet up.
South Fork right there.
Yeah.
River.
So we went to 421 and 11. And we start going down. You can see the floods and everything. We get maybe about 5 miles down Highway 11. And the Clay County boys were like, we're stuck. How are we stuck? There's a landslide up ahead. Oh, you got somebody coming? Yeah, they're going to be here in about 2 hours. And I'm like, boys, I got to be at work. But so where we were, there was no cell service. So I'm freaking out because I'm like, I'm probably going to have a job when I get back. Okay. And they cleared it out. Well, there's another one.
Yeah.
And it's bigger. So they clear that one. Well, we go up the road a little bit, and they're like, there's a even bigger one. Half the mountain had come down, and there was trees standing straight up.
Wow.
It took us 6 hours to get to Oneida on Highway 11.
Jeez.
And we were about,
Been faster on horseback.
Yeah.
we were probably about 3-4 miles past Laurel Creek Nursing Home, if you know where that is. So just picture 6 hours.
From downtown Manchester to over there is probably what 15 minutes if everything's going good, maybe a little
If you
longer.
didn't get behind a tractor.
Right.
Yeah.
Or you're in the fire truck
20.
going
Yeah.
down there.
Yeah, we've done that too.
Way later. But it's a good little haul from, but still it shouldn't be a 6 hour
Oh, Lord.
ordeal.
No.
I couldn't.
And so we get to Oneida, and obviously it had flooded really bad. And they was like, well, boys, we already got her. That'd been nice to have known.
Yeah.
But
Thanks for the
hey,
heads
thanks
up.
for the heads up. Well, we get turned around. We go to the Burger King there by Pizza Pro. Mm-hmm. And my boss, or my captain, calls me, and he's like, "Are you coming to work?" I said, "Well, no." And he's like, "What do you mean no?" I said, "I'm in Clay County rescuing people," and not be like, "Well, we just wasted our time."
Yeah.
But this is about the time they were needing help in Perry County, and they asked us to go. So I said, well, I'm getting deployed to Perry County, so you're going to have to call somebody in. And we get over there, not realizing how bad it was. We had heard helicopters were doing rooftop rescues, and there was boats getting people. We go down a road, and you're just looking around, and you're like, oh, my goodness. Everything's gone. And I got pictures of it. There's a fire hydrant sucked out of the ground,
Gosh.
and it's just sitting there like this. And I said, just imagine how fast that water was going. And later that night, the first night that we were there, we had to go down this Bob's Road. I don't know where it was, but there's like 100-foot drop right next to you. And we're in the dive bus. If y'all know what our dive bus is. Ricky George looked at me and he said, put your seatbelt on. I'm going to get us out of here. And he backed up this road and he's like, just don't let me get off. And I said, if we get off, we're gone. I said, you might as well tell Taylor, bye.
You'll know it again.
It'll be the last thing you remember.
It's gonna be smooth for just a second.
Being over there and just seeing the devastation and seeing how some of these people were living, you're like, we're blessed.
Yeah.
Absolutely. That's
Yeah.
You know, we've talked the natural disaster stuff.
Man,
It's the power of water, of wind, fire. Y'all, it's worse than any.
I remember driving up on the way up. I think Cody was driving. I was on the passenger side, and we went just going through the town. It looked like like Fallujah or something, like a battle.
Which town was it?
Fleming.
Yeah.
And then, but on the way there, I'll never forget. I've got a picture of it. There was a trailer up on the hill on the side, and you had the river. How they all had bridges over
the yeah.
But there was a trailer over there, and I'm looking at it like, just kind of at a glance, you see the car in the driveway. Well, the car's not in the driveway. The car is parked on the porch. It's in the porch.
Wow.
It had picked it up, flipped it upside
And
down,
it's on the
and parked.
mountainside.
And it's
these
picked it up and put it on the porch.
Yep.
And I was like, that's the wildest thing.
I remember thinking it dried up by the time we got up there, but nobody came to.
There was a lot of mud left. Though,
Fleming Neon was we was walking down. It dried up, and there's like dirt and weird. It felt like we was walking in a ghost town or a. They'd already marked the big X's and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I remember looking and seeing like, this is how high the water,
the mud
6
line.
feet up, the mud line on
The
the
pharmacy
line.
was 6.5 feet.
Yeah, and you're like, how in the world did all this stuff?
And that's the flash flooding. I mean, that happens over in a matter of an hour or something, and then it's gone.
Yeah, the power of Mother Nature though is something that
We've definitely had our share of it in the last few years.
Absolutely.
So we we went back a couple weeks afterwards, and they was like, "Yeah, we just need y'all to go search," because at this time they hadn't
Still
found
recovering, yeah.
one person, and the place we went to was in Knott County, just over the line from Perry County, and we had to. You either go with this team, you search a nice straight flat land, and then you're on this side that's nothing but cliffs and river bank. So I got blessed to be on the cliff side.
Of course.
Yep. So we go searching, and immediately there's a smell, and you're like, well,
We know that smell.
we
Yeah.
know that smell. The team behind us was canines with cadaver dogs, and they recovered a dog.
Yeah.
But there was a whole house under this bridge.
Mm-hmm.
And we get probably about 5-6 miles down this god awful cliffside. You have to go up and down, up and down. We're scaling a rock face, and I have my radio clipped on my hip. And we're going down this rock face, and I hear click. And I look down, and there goes my radio. Boom, boom, bloop. I about cried. I tried to jump after it, and I was like, "You idiot! There's floodwaters right here. Literally, the water is swift water right below you." Yep, gone.
That was what was. You start hearing about flooding part of in Perry County, in Clay County. So we're driving, we don't see nothing. We get to Hazard. Still, you're like, well, you know how Hazard's got the river, or whatever runs right through the middle. You're like,
It wasn't there, was it?
nothing there, no problem. Get down to you start to see a little bit of like some toilet paper trees and stuff like that, diaper trees,
Yeah.
and you're like, that's not that bad. And then you get to White's. We went to Whitesburg first, and you're like,
Coming in
not-
out of Hazard was rough up when you passed the lake.
Past the lake,
Yeah.
yeah.
Once you got to the lake, man,
Yep.
we got bad.
but we were like, okay, because I figured Hazard's down kind of in the whole part of that right there, those homes on the
It just
water.
it went a different direction
Yeah,
or whatever.
it's so
It's
weird.
Yeah.
But down there, and they're like, they call it what, the upper bottom or something. I don't know why you have an upper bottom.
Yeah,
but,
I don't know.
it's just a neighborhood, and you're like, it got up to this high here, and you're like, wow. And then the other side, and then my buddy Nathan, he lived over there. He was from London, moved over there, and he was like, I need to show you something. He said, you've not seen anything yet. So we go over there and meet with this chief of Fleming or Neon, whichever one. He said, I'm okay. I only had about an inch of mud in my house. I said, go home. How do you get to the jail? He said, got to go to Pikeville. I was like, So,
Interested anybody.
yeah, he was, and you start hearing, and people, I got a chance to meet with, I did an interview with, because we ran to a fire call, and they were all like they were like, oh, y'all ran out of here on a call. What was going on? And it was national weather. It was Fox Weather. I didn't even know about them at the time. And I did an interview with them. And we went off. We was live, and I was like, oh. They was like, oh, we need somebody who's doing it. And everybody's like, you're the chief, dude.
Yeah, you get it.
And but I started talking to that guy, and I was like, you've not seen Neon yet. He said, what? I said, you need to go, and you need to get some help here. And people were bringing, because Whitesburg did a really good job saying, hey, we need help. We need this and this and this. And a little town like Fleming and Neon, and they don't have that resources of that. You were talking about a couple hundred people live there, but we started kidnapping and stealing these cars that all these people had brought in. We was carjacking them. We was like, you don't need all those. They need them. I mean, they was running F-150s through floodwaters and ruined them. They had nothing over there.
Yeah, you
So
can't imagine.
it was crazy. Craziest things I've ever seen.
Seeing the roads destroyed, like there was roads waving, and seeing all the oil from the cars in the water, and just nasty
Propane tanks floating down the
Yeah,
river.
like,
That was
weird.
the residential propane tanks.
I think I saw about 3 or 4, like the big 1,000-gallon propane tanks just floating down the water.
I'm hoping they get it all. I mean, it's still gonna be there again.
Yeah.
Years of,
And that's been 3 years ago now.
Yeah, they're still rebuilding homes over there too. So none of it gets in done and dealt with fast. It happens in a minute, and takes years to recover.
Yeah.
Did I ever work any calls with you boys that you can
I'm
think
sure
of?
I've seen you out on Rex.
I've seen you on
like a
Rex.
bunch. So,
But
and I'm sure I've sent many of overdose or something.
oh
something
yeah,
with you.
oh yeah.
When they're fighting after your Narcan.
So speaking of overdose, so I was working one night. We get a call for possible overdose at the cookie factory.
Mm-hmm.
So we go down there, and Drew Jackson was there. And we walk over to this car, and I said, "Where's the patient?" And Drew goes, "Oh, there he is. He's under the car, overdosed."
Wow.
Completely unresponsive, barely breathing. And I'm like, "Drew, we got to get him out." So me and Drew are dragging this guy out from under this car.
Him gurgling.
Oh, yeah. And we get him loaded in the truck, and I'm not with the paramedic. So it's EMT and EMT. There really ain't much I can do. I mean, I can
Push
give him
some Narcan.
up his nose. Well, we did that. And I looked down. Oh, boy, quit breathing. And I was like, oh, no. Well, about 2 seconds later, he goes, and opens his eyes, and he looked at me. He goes, "Where am I at?" I said, "Buddy, you died." And he said, no. I said, "Listen, you're not in trouble. We have to ask him, like, what'd you take?" And he's like, "Buddy, I didn't take nothing."
Yeah.
The number one answer. And
I don't know. I'm not
Gotta
mad
find
at
out.
that guy there.
It's always you don't arrest somebody that's overdosed. I mean, you probably used to at some point in time, but you don't.
They're
I mean,
having a medical emergency, and there's
Right.
way things
Yeah.
on.
but they don't
what was
think
he
that.
on?
Yeah.
fentanyl.
Yeah, fentanyl.
And Drew was like,
Well, it's a scourge. I mean, when that hit, I remember you was talking about when meth hit and the pills hit hard. You know, the oxycontins and
We still
then
didn't have the overdose like the fentanyl.
No.
when
We went
when
through-
the pills,
Yeah.
when the oxycontin went away, when they made it harder to get, then heroin and just straight up fentanyl stuff started hitting, and that was the worst thing. I mean, the opioid, the pandemic, it was really ruined generations of it, especially in Kentucky, West Virginia, and Tennessee, and wherever, but Ohio, that's south. But when they couldn't get it so easy, it got worse.
Yeah.
It got way worse.
Well, they were cutting everything with fentanyl. I mean, we had guys with meth cut with fentanyl, which I mean, I don't know how that works.
Which
I mean,
is totally opposite.
yeah, you got to
That's
spraying it down.
Yeah.
I mean,
It's just split in half.
And
They think it would neutralize them.
and then we had a
Chill.
bad batch of Xanax bars that they were pressing, and it was straight fentanyl.
Yeah.
It wasn't. So it was.
Yeah.
We had like 30 some overdoses
Give out
in a week or two.
in
It
the
just-
city, not to mention
Yeah.
Pub County.
Right.
That's crazy.
And get more Narcan than you ever thought.
Yeah, I know. When they first gave us Narcan and the pharmacist came in, gave us a little quick talk about it, and we're like, we'll never have to use this. What was I wrong? I said, we'll save that just in case we get
I
exposed.
tried
We
to
didn't
get
know.
an exposure.
Oh my gosh.
I had to Narcan a guy just said that it was a goat roping.
It gets awful.
Went from foot pursuit to taking him to jail. He ate whatever he had. I guess it was fentanyl or heroin or whatever he had. And during the foot pursuit, get him to the jail. He's
It's
starting.
going fast, and all of a sudden,
Yeah, he's starting to nod, and he's like, I was like, crap. I was like, I gotta get him in here. Get him in there. OD's right in the middle of processing him.
oh,
So it turned into a goat roping. But he took 8 milligrams of Narcan to
get him back.
get him back.
y'all remember Flocka?
Yeah, Flocka was
Oh, buddy, I got a story about Flocka.
Oh, let's hear it.
So it was about 3 o'clock in the morning, and we have 2 stations. We get a call in the south end, Appaloosa Trail.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Possible overdose. Okay. Well, we stood by in the area, and SO gets down there, and they're like, yeah, send him on inland. Okay. I walked in, and Deputy's like, he's right back there. So I walk back, had my little flashlight, and I'm like, hello. Well, this dude just comes out like this, just
Puffed
ready,
up.
ready to go. And I said, oh, Lord.
Here
I
it
said,
goes.
and I said, hi. And he comes right at me. And I was like, well, here it is. So obviously I'm in my defense stage. And he takes a swing at me. Luckily, I just put my arm up and caught him. And the fight was on after that. And let me tell you, if you've never fought somebody on Flocka, it's like fighting 400 Mike Tysons at once.
It's wild how stout
Meth.
they get.
Yep.
And a taser will not affect them.
No.
You can't. They don't feel pain. They don't. You can't.
Meth was that
Can't lock
way
them up.
for a while, you know, and I think Flocka, all these stuff is like they get this ungodly strength. So I could imagine fighting somebody on that Angel, what's that stuff? The
PCP.
Back in the 70s and
I reckon they was way hard to
You've
handle.
got Molly now and
Yeah.
all that. The MDMT or whatever it is. I'll tell you a story. One of our instructors told us in the academy. He worked, I think it was Lexington Metro, and worked narcotics. Said he was out on a guy. This guy's blowed out of his mind on meth or Flocka or something. One of those hallucinogens. Can't get him a pain compliance. He's naked.
It's
Said they're in the
PCP.
middle of downtown Lexington, and he's chasing this guy around. He said at some point in time, he said it kind of felt like this guy was chasing me around the car, trying to get home. He said he finally gets him down on the ground and cannot get him. And he said, you know, it might not have been the best thing for me to do. He said, I just happened to look down, and he said, I seen that old little flaccid thing. He said, I just drove my knee right into the ground. He said, that pain compliance worked.
It's fun. I know you got a bunch more. We can come back and do some later because we've been at it.
Yeah, we're going on 2.5 hours.
Woo, buddy.
Time flies when we're
So
having fun.
y'all wanna
It's up to you guys. I agree.
adjourn and
we can do
reconvene
that.
later?
Yeah.
This is so much fun. It's good for the soul. I've really enjoyed you guys. It's fun to be around guys I've not got to see in a
Yeah,
while.
I know.
I missed you guys.
Appreciate y'all having us.
Yeah, we'll do it
most
again.
definitely, it's been real.
Absolutely. It's been real. It's been fun, but it ain't been real fun.
There you go. I wasn't going that far.
All right, guys. Thanks for coming. We'll catch you on the next one.